Hello and welcome to the Big House. You are tuned into WCBN Sports live coverage of Michigan football. My name's Kelin Flynn, alongside me KG Foley for our first half of action. KG, we are into Big Ten conference play.
We are here. It is time. It is homecoming game for Michigan against Rutgers, with Jim Harbaugh back on the field, which is really exciting. We've definitely missed his presence, and I think we're in for a really fun homecoming game.
We just got to see the intro video for the team. Michigan about to run onto the field. It's homecoming today here in Ann Arbor, so we got to see a number of alumni from the football program make their way out of the tunnel one more time.
We have alumni in the band. We have alumni national champions. We have lots of familiar faces here as we celebrate this homecoming game against Rutgers. How are you feeling about today's game, Kelin?
I'm excited. Always excited to be up in the press box here
This is a
at
great
the Big
view
House.
up here.
It is. It really is. But we've got a good one in store for you today. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights come in undefeated at 3-0. 1-0 in conference play. They opened their season against Northwestern and knocked off the Wildcats. This is a feisty Rutgers team that has given Michigan some trouble the last couple of seasons. Michigan was down at halftime last year in Piscataway. The year before that, it was a one-score game at the half. And the year before that, in Piscataway, during COVID in 2020, Michigan went to overtime and ultimately came out on top. But
Yeah.
I think for the average Michigan fan, this Rutgers game on the schedule is always looked over. If you look at recent history,
Yeah.
this is no team to look over.
Absolutely. I don't think the Rutgers team should be underestimated. They've really been coming out strong this season, had a really strong game against Virginia Tech. They're a really strong defensive team, and I think they're going to challenge Michigan. I think this might be the biggest challenge yet so far this season. The last three games, I don't think have pushed our Wolverines quite yet, and I think today they're going to be put to the test a little bit.
Both teams have made their ways onto the field. Michigan's captains heading out toward midfield. It's Mike Sainristil still, Zach Zinter, Blake Corum, and Chris Jenkins for the Wolverines.
As they head out for the coin flip. Very exciting here. Great energy in the Big House today.
KG, what are you looking forward to in today's game?
I'm looking forward, I think, to a few things. One of them being J.J. McCarthy's performance. I think today is going to be a big passing day with this strong Rutgers defense. Not going to be a heavy rushing game, as I think compared to some of the previous games so far this season. And, you know, J.J. McCarthy, everyone's talking about his 3 interceptions last game. So I'm interested to see how he steps up today. If last week was a fluke, maybe there's some holes in his game. But I actually personally have a lot of faith in J.J. McCarthy, and I'm excited to see him play today.
So Michigan wins the coin toss and elects to defer until the second half. So Rutgers will get the football first.
What are you looking forward to today, Kelin?
Similarly, I'm looking forward to see what this offense puts out on the field. They obviously struggle with turnovers against Bowling Green. Like to see them clean that up a little bit. The big storyline for today, obviously, head coach Jim Harbaugh back roaming the sidelines for Michigan as we hit that 12 o'clock noon. I'd like to welcome in all of our FM listeners. You are tuned in to WCBN FM Ann Arbor as Michigan gets ready to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. We've got a good one for you today. My name's Kelin Flynn.
And I'm KG Foley. And
Peter,
we are here in the Big House. Let's go. I'm excited.
Got a great crew on the second half as well. Peter Nasr and Kendall Spencer are queued up for half number 2. Both squads on the field. Michigan's going to get the football first. Michigan in their navy tops, maize bottoms, the classic winged helmet. Rutgers rocking the all whites today. They're icy whites, they called them, with red gloves, white cleats. And they've obviously got the red numbers.
Looking clean today as we get ready to kick off here in Ann Arbor in the Big House.
And Michigan's ready to go, KG. These fans are ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Get slotted in here as we are ready to kick off this homecoming game, Rutgers versus Michigan.
And away we go. Tommy Doman boots it away deep for Michigan. That's going to sail out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. Scarlet Knights will take over at the 25. as we'll get to see Gavin Wimsatt and company to start off for Rutgers. Wimsatt getting the opportunity to take the reins this year. It was a kind of a hodgepodge of quarterbacks last year for the Scarlet Knights. Wimsatt was mixed in that group. But
Wimsatt's been stepping up this year. It's 3 touchdowns so far this season with 407 yards.
And Noah Vedral now gone, so he's got that full-time starting role for Rutgers. But their big story has been Kyle Monungai, the starting tailback.
Excited to see Kyle Monungai get play here in the big house against the defense.
3 wide receivers, Rutgers in the shotgun. Play action, Wimsatt back to pass, and he fires that into the Michigan sideline. Nothing doing. That'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Gavin Wimsatt is not quite the strongest quarterback, but I do think that he has found success with his offense. He has a lot of support out there with Kyle Monungai. How are you feeling about him up against J.J. McCarthy?
Well, you talked about Monungai and that kind of dual threat ground attack that Rutgers offers with the legs of Gavin Wimsatt. Monungai split to the right of Wimsatt, 2 receivers to his right, and looks like there was some action early. Maybe not. Pass is complete to the far side. That was hauled in by number 14, Isaiah Washington, for a pickup of about 8.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Gavin Wimsatt stand out a little. He has legs on him. You know, he has some rushing yards. He has some rushing touchdowns himself. So I'll be interested to see if Michigan's defense is able to hold him back.
Washington had to dive back for it. They'll mark it at the 31, bring up 3rd and 4 now for Wimsatt and company. Number 2 in the maize and blue on the field for Michigan, Will Johnson, questionable. Got the start today. Rod Moore out there as well. Wimsatt claps his hands, trying to draw a false start. Drops back to pass. Looks left, throws over the middle of the field, and he's got his man.
No.
He's got open space, and he's going to go. Christian Dremel, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Rutgers. Wimsatt looks right over the middle of the field, finds Dremel, and Dremel has nothing but green grass in front of him. That's a huge play to start off the day for Rutgers.
I think I just got chills from that. I was not prepared to see Rutgers make a run like that on their first possession.
That's a 69-yard touchdown for Christian Dremel.
Wow. I mean, this is a big rushing team. They are leading in the conference with rushing yards. I think we should be prepared to see some legs on them today. And, you know, Michigan is realizing that very early on in the game.
Dremel really stepping up and making an impact there.
Absolutely.
Jai Patel on for the PAT. Kick is up and good as a flag is thrown. Rutgers is here to play.
Rutgers is here to play. I mean, I had a feeling that their offense was going to be a first challenge for Michigan. I don't think that they've really been pushed quite yet defensively, and I had a feeling this was coming. I didn't think it would happen in the first minute of play, but here we are, and I think we're in for an exciting game now here in the big house.
Defense. Penalties decline. The try is good.
And so penalty decline results in 7 on the board for Rutgers early. 14 minutes still left in this first quarter. Only took Rutgers a minute to strike. 69-yard completion through the air.
Again, that was from Christian Dremel, senior wide receiver for Rutgers.
Dremel earned the Mark Mills Second Effort Award during spring camp for the most improved offensive player during spring ball for Rutgers, and he's shown it there. This coaching staff is really happy with what they saw from him.
Yeah, Greg Schiano, the coach for Rutgers, has talked about how much respect he has for Christian and how hard of a worker he is. And I think this whole Rutgers team has really put in the work this season. They're a hardworking team, and I think they really want to prove themselves today.
This is a program that is often the laughingstock of the Big Ten that is most certainly on the rise. Those that follow college football know that this team is no slouch. They dismantled Virginia Tech last weekend.
Yeah, they had a great game against Virginia Tech last weekend.
Flynn Appleby will pop it up short, caught at the 25, up past the 30 to the 36. That was A.J. Barner on the return. Make that Joe Taylor. And so Michigan will take over the 36. Now J.J. McCarthy and company get a chance to strike back.
I think that Michigan has to make a big play here. I think they have to score if they want to, keep some confidence up, keep some energy up. Big push for a touchdown here in just their first possession of the game.
So McCarthy and company will come out in the pistol to start off. Two receivers split far out to the right. They bring Bredesen in as the fullback. McCarthy claps his hands. He's got Corum behind him. They bring Wilson in motion. Handoff, Blake Corum. Corum up the middle. He'll be dragged down at the 42-yard line. Pick up a 5.
Blake Corum's going to have some trouble, I think, today with his typical rushing. I think he's been used to some big numbers the past 3 games, but this Rutgers defense is going to be quite a wall, and I think that, you know, J.J. McCarthy's definitely going to have to look to the air to get some gains on the field right now.
Rutgers a top 20 rush defense in the country. 2 receivers to the right. He's got Corum to his left. They bring Barner in motion to the left side of the formation. McCarthy drops back to pass, looks right, throws right. Looking for Colston Loveland. Pass was tipped up, incomplete. It was Deion Jennings on the coverage for Rutgers that broke it up.
Deion Jennings is a big defensive presence for Rutgers. He is 7th in the Big Ten for tackles with 8.5 so far.
And he's going to have a tall task ahead of him, having to match up against Colston Loveland at times today. One of the top young tight ends in the country.
Definitely be a great matchup between those two today.
Edwards checks into the game for the first time for Michigan. He'll trot out to the far right side of the formation. Empty set for McCarthy. 4 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Drops back to pass. Looking, McCarthy working in the pocket. Gonna be hit, gonna go down at the 40. And that'll bring up 4th and 7 for Michigan. McCarthy wrapped up at the 40 and dropped. Tyreen Powell gets credited for the sack.
Tyreen Powell, another power force for the Rutgers defense. He is a big, big threat to J.J. McCarthy today.
And just like that, Michigan goes 3 and out. Rutgers up 7-0.
Not quite the run Michigan was looking for here.
12:40 to go in the first quarter of play. Doman to boot it away. High kick. Fair caught at the 21 by Rashad Rochelle.
How are you feeling after that first possession, Kelin?
Obviously for Michigan, that's not the start you're looking for. A big spark through the air for Rutgers, and all of a sudden you're in a 7-0 hole.
All of a sudden, just like that. I mean, this is what we were preparing for. We were preparing for some strong offense and some strong defense from Rutgers, and I truly don't think that Michigan has been challenged, and I honestly think that their play the last 3 games has been affected by the lack of challenge, and today they're going to have to figure out, you know, how to step up a little bit. They're definitely showing some holes in some of their play, and I'm excited to see how the rest of this game goes.
Obviously, Michigan gives up the big chunk play. 69-yard touchdown to Christian Dremel on a slant route.
69 yards. What a rush to start.
As the Michigan field hockey team is recognized today.
You're a big Michigan field hockey fan.
I was at the game yesterday. They lost 2-0 to the #1 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. But they're the reigning Big Ten champs.
So how do you think Jim Harbaugh being on the field today is going to change this team?
Harbaugh being back on the field is obviously huge for consistency for this squad. 4 head coaches in the first 3 games in UNLV. Harbaugh decided to split up who he'd delegate head coaching duties to by the half. But Michigan now has that steady hand back roaming the sidelines of the big house. And obviously not the start they're looking for, but this is a team that there's a lot of football left. This is a
lot of football left.
Very experienced squad. But we talked about it before the show that Rutgers was absolutely going to come in here and give this team a fight.
Absolutely.
Talked about it at the top of the broadcast. This has been a close game each of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I think we forget that. You know, it's really easy, like you said, to not really think about Rutgers too highly, you know, put them up there as a big contender. But, you know, this season they've exceeded all of their statistics predicted by double digits. You know, they have really, you know, shown up and kind of overachieved a little bit more than I think anyone's been expecting. I don't think we even know how good this team is quite yet. And they are really, I think they're, as a squad, probably really excited to be put to the test against a, you know, #2 team to see just how far they themselves can push.
And Greg Schiano, obviously the defensive coordinator at Ohio State for a number of years. He's very familiar with this Michigan Wolverine squad and coming into the big house
Absolutely.
and taking care of business.
He knows this environment, he knows this team, he knows the culture of this school, so he's ready, and I think he's ready to lead this team to a fight.
And you're seeing that through his team so far. Wimsatt and company back on the field for Rutgers. Notably for Michigan, on the defensive side of the ball, no big Mason Graham in the middle of that defense. Jaden McBurrows as well out today. Wimsatt takes the handoff, and it's given to Manungai. Manungai's got space. 35-40, makes a cutback down to the 48. Kyle Manungai getting going.
With some yards, with some legs on him already. He's going to start getting warmed up and definitely going to be a threat. So I think Michigan should really do their best to make sure that he doesn't get too far ahead, because I think once he gets going and once he starts feeling good, he'll keep pushing and he'll keep running.
And that's going to come all the way back due to a holding call. So it would have been another chunk play for Rutgers. Manungai, the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week after a monster day against Virginia Tech.
Game against Virginia Tech. Manungai, he had 143 yards for 165 last week. 143 rushing yards for 165 yards last week.
165 all-purpose, like you said, KG. He was an engine for this Rutgers offense, a trio of touchdowns as well. Scarlet Knights back at their own 10. And it's another handoff to Manungai. Manungai is going to be dropped at the 19. Pickup of 8. Mike Barrett was the one that brought him down.
Manungai is also special because he is also a protector. You know, he had a big protection for the quarterback against Northwestern on a blitz. That was a really big play. You know, he's physical, he's big, and he's also a leader for this team. Kind of a threat in all aspects.
They brought in 4-star freshman Samuel Brown the fifth, but Manungai the junior, or a year ago, he's a sophomore now, and Manungai has held on to that starting tailback role. He's to the right of Wimsatt. They hand it to him again. He's going to cut up field and be brought down at the 26. So 2nd and 14. They pick up 9. That'll bring up 3rd and 4. Ball marked down at the 27.
Seems like Manungai is really, really who they're leaning on today, and really who's going to be testing this Michigan defense.
Another 3rd and 4 now for Rutgers. They scored a 69-yard touchdown last time, as there's some action before the snap. A couple of flags fly.
False start. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
So false start on that Rutgers offensive line.
Gonna undo some of that work.
That was Holland Pierce, the left tackle, that jumped. So now Michigan got to be selling out for the pass here on 3rd and 9. 3rd and 4, such a tough spot because of how good this Rutgers team is on the ground, KG. You have to account for the legs of Wimsatt.
Yeah, Wimsatt definitely can help get some gain for Rutgers.
Tailback to his left. 2 receivers to the right. Wimsatt in the shotgun. They hand it to Manungai, and he's buried for a loss.
Michigan looked hungry for that bury. They wanted him down.
It was Derek Moore that was in there first for Michigan. And that'll lead to a Rutgers punt. 4th and 12 now. He was dropped at the 19-yard line, was Manungai.
Good break for Michigan here.
Jake Thaw back deep to receive the punt from Michigan. Flynn Appleby to boot it away for Rutgers. Appleby takes a while to get it away, and it's a good punt. Thaw running all the way back inside the 20. That's going to keep bouncing, and it drops inside the 5.
What a beautiful kick right in the corner back there.
Talk about flipping the field from Flynn Appleby. From his own 19, pins Michigan inside. They're going to mark it at the 6. That just rolled all the way along the sideline. What a booming kick.
Wow, J.J. McCarthy and co have a lot of ground to make up now.
My goodness.
Wow, what an interesting first 3 possessions we have here.
It's been interesting. That's a great way to put it.
Definitely putting Michigan to the test. Rutgers stepping up and, you know, Commandant Guy showing us what he has, and he's bringing it here to the big house today. Definitely making the Michigan defense sweat a little, but they were really excited to get him down at the end there for that 4th down.
That's a 74-yard punt. Or 75-yard punt.
That was beautiful.
From Flynn Appleby. And Rutgers, remind you, they lost the best punter in the country last year, and Appleby comes out and absolutely flips the field on Michigan.
Placement. Couldn't have placed it better, truly. So what do you think, the move now for J.J. McCarthy here in this next possession?
You just got to move the ball down the field. Michigan goes 3 and out on the first possession. Stick to your strengths.
Just got to keep moving. A lot of ground to make. Definitely look for some passes, I think.
Still plenty of time left in the contest. 9:27 to go here in the first quarter.
Rutgers versus Michigan, proving to be a really fun game here. This Rutgers team, over and over, willing to prove themselves as a real contender in this conference. You know, putting up big numbers, having big players up in the stats for the conference, and they are leading in rushing yards. They have one of the top rushers in the conference, and they are really looking today to show Michigan that they are a true opponent. I'm not nervous quite yet, but I think this is just really fun to actually have a real game after the last 3 have been a little bit Michigan dominated, and it's fun to see, a little bit of pressure on the boys and see how they can step up here today.
And the home crowd is, like you said there, have a real game. Obviously the first 3 games of the season, the non-conference slate, not the most challenging we've seen in Ann Arbor, and they've caught a lot of flack for it in the media. Obviously, it's a 2-year gap where there wasn't a strong non-conference opponent. Michigan over the next 4 years will play a home-and-home series against Oklahoma and Texas. Before that, Michigan had a series against Notre Dame. McCarthy claps his hands off to Corum. Corum is stacked up at about the 7. Make that the 8-yard line. Pickup of a couple.
Corum getting shut down over and over here again today.
Michigan just trying to move that pile. 2nd and 8 now for Michigan.
Blake Corum, obviously a big name for our Michigan offense. He has 6 touchdowns so far this season. He had a really long rush last game of 54 yards and 2 touchdowns on 12 carries against Bowling Green.
McCarthy with Corum to his right. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Hand off to Corum again. Corum cuts back. He's going to go right. Corum with space. Makes a move at the 15, still on his feet, heading toward the 20. Blake Corum with a big pickup on 2nd and 8.
Blake Corum finally getting to use his legs a little. Made a nice hop over a defender right there to get a few extra yards at the end and get some gains on this really great kick that Rutgers has left Michigan in.
That puts the ball at the 22-yard line for JJ and company.
That was 14 yards for Blake Corum.
A little more breathing room for this offense to operate in now. Michigan going to go back to the pistol. McCarthy with Corum behind him. 2 receivers to the left. They bring Bredesen back in as the fullback. Wilson in motion. Play action. McCarthy looking for Roman Wilson, and he overthrew him. Led him a bit too much toward that Rutgers sideline, out of the grasp of number 1.
Good look, but an unfortunate pass right there for J.J. McCarthy.
Wilson had separation. J.J. just couldn't quite put it on him.
Definitely have to settle into this passing game. I think that's what Michigan's going to have to lean on to make up for some big gains on the field. So hoping that we can land a few passes here in this next possession.
That was the safety, Shaquan Loyal, on the coverage there. McCarthy claps his hands. It's a bubble screen. And that'll be a pickup of about 8. That was Dennis. Scratch that, make that Samaj Morgan on the pickup. The freshman from West Bloomfield.
A lot of true freshmen on the Michigan team getting some time on the field so far this season.
With the absence of Ronnie Bell, that 3rd receiver spot has opened up, and there's been a couple of players jostling for it. A couple of freshmen, Freddie Moore and Samaj Morgan, in the mix there. They bring Edwards across the formation in motion. He's got a ton of space. 40, 45, 50. Here comes Edwards down to the Rutgers 40. He was lost in coverage there. They brought him across the formation to the right side, and nobody ran with him.
A lot of open space for a great run there as we, finally cross that half point on the field as we move towards the red zone.
Miscommunication between the safeties and the linebackers. Looks like it was Loyal and Jennings that weren't sure who was picking him up. McCarthy, handoff. They're going to go flea flicker. JJ looking downfield. He's got Loveland wide open at the 20, 10, 5. Colston Loveland down to the 2-yard line. Michigan with some trickery here in the first quarter.
I think they're starting to figure out how to, confuse this defense a little bit, finding some really great openings, and Level makes a dive there to get right before the end zone.
They handed it off to Corum. Corum flipped it back to Edwards. Edwards back to McCarthy, and JJ finds Loveland wide open with plenty of room to run. 1st and 2 from the 2 now for Michigan.
A little bit of juggling happening back there.
Wolverines with goal to go from the 2. In the I form. Bredesen and Corum behind him. Corum up the gut, and he's got it.
And he's in.
Touchdown, Blake Corum, and Michigan is on the board.
Beautiful last few plays there. Made up some serious grounds in just a few plays, and Michigan is back on the board, back in this game, and ready, I think, to step up to this Rutgers defense as they slowly start to figure out how to find some holes and find some openings and confuse the Scarlet Knights.
The victors rings throughout Ann Arbor as Michigan is an extra point away from knotting it up here against Rutgers. Extra point team on the field for Michigan. Doman to hold. James Turner looking to knot it up. Kick is up and good.
That'll be a 7-7 game now.
So Michigan marches all the way down the field on a couple of plays from their big-time playmakers. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and Colston Loveland get it done for Michigan on offense.
A lot of great communication for the offense there, trying to figure out how they can break up this Rutgers wall, and they found some openings, and they made really big gains on some rushing yards here, and that was really great.
You're tuned into WCBN Sports, live coverage of Michigan football. My name's Kelin Flynn. If you're just joining us, KG Foley along with me for this first half. Kendall Spencer and Peter Nasr on for the second half of coverage.
First 4 possessions there have led us here to a 7-7 game on a touchdown from both teams. Touchdown from Blake Corum. That'll be his 7th of the season as he'll now move up to leading in the conference with 7 touchdowns. Looking really great now. I think they're starting to figure out this Rutgers defense, find some holes, and figure out how to break down that big wall that they have been putting up.
Michigan really finding their stride there on that possession.
Absolutely.
After a rough possession to start this game. Again, how we got here. Rutgers got the ball first. Michigan won the coin toss and elected to defer. 3rd and 4. It was a 69-yard completion on a slant to Christian.
J.J. McCarthy looking to lean on that pass. He made that beautiful 35-yard pass to Loveland, who caught it and, was able to gain a few yards and bring them right to the end zone. Looking for more passes like that today.
It was Christian Dremel on the 69-yard touchdown for Rutgers. Then, like you said, KG, Michigan goes 3 and out, gets a stop, and then drives 96 yards down the field for a touchdown.
96 yards.
Flynn Appleby pinned Michigan real deep inside their own 5 on a 75-yard punt.
Beautiful punt. I haven't really seen a punt like that yet this season. That was really great to watch, but it pushed Michigan to figure out, I think, really quickly how to make some big gains, how to communicate with each other, and also how to confuse that Rutgers defense and find those openings. Probably what they needed, honestly, was a little bit of a push there.
5:56 to go here in the first quarter of play, as we're in a TV timeout here. It'll be Michigan to kick off to Rutgers. Tommy Doman in the kickoff team is on the field.
Rutgers has been really successful this season in their own red zone and is 9 for 12 on the season and has scored 3 touchdowns last game just from Kamanungai. And they're looking really strong once they get over there. So Michigan just has to make sure that they can stop them before they get to the red zone, because they are really strong over there with a lot of great rushers and big men on the field.
Rashad Rochelle back deep to receive for Rutgers. Rutgers with those clean all whites today.
I like the all white today. It looks really nice.
Doman boots it away, and that'll go out the back of the end zone again for another touchback. Doman, the local product from St. Mary's, one of the big football powerhouses in southeastern Michigan. Great baseball team as well over there.
Rutgers taken back to the field.
So here comes Gavin Wimsatt and his crew on offense.
Gavin Wimsatt probably looking to make some gains here. Might have to do some running himself.
Claps his hands. He's got Manungai to his left, 2 receivers to his left, 1 to the right. In the shotgun, receives the snap, going to drop back to pass. Looks right, throws right, and that's going to be hauled in for a pickup of about 2.
This is the 10th time the Rutgers will be playing Michigan since they joined the Big Ten in 2014. The first time they matched up, Rutgers actually beat Michigan, but has not been able to overcome the Wolverines since. And this might be the team that could do it. I don't know if we'll see that today, but this is the strongest that I think this Rutgers program has looked in a while.
Pick up a 4, brings up 2nd and 6, ball on the 29. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Wimsatt in the shotgun, got Manungai to his right. Drops back to pass again. Wimsatt gonna step up and slide just short of the sticks.
Wimsatt showing us he's not afraid to run the ball a little bit.
And they're gonna say he started his slide way back. They'll mark it at the 31, only a 2-yard pickup there. Brings up 3rd and 4. So another 3rd and 4 for Rutgers. 1 for 2 on 3rd downs today. One of them a long score. The other was a false start into a loss. This crowd is on their feet making noise.
Yeah, definitely trying to stop this Rutgers run right here, right now.
4:35 and counting on the game clock. 4 seconds. And it's going to be Wimsatt up the middle, and he's got enough for the first down.
Wimsatt taking the matters into his own hands there to get that first down for Rutgers.
Makari Page on the tackle. Wimsatt, career high 87 rushing yards last week against Virginia Tech, and a big win for Rutgers.
Rutgers had not beat Virginia Tech in quite some time, so that was a really exciting win for them.
Kirk Shiraka has this offense humming this season behind a powerful ground game. Running attacks top 20 in the country. 3 receivers to the left. Manungai to the right. As Wimsatt makes a check at the line of scrimmage. Timeout called by Rutgers. Greg Schiano wants to talk something over here. Saw something he didn't like. First down and 10 still, ball down at the 36-yard line.
They're definitely going to want to go,
And that's going to be a TV timeout as well. So Rutgers with the ball at the 36-yard line, 1st and 10.
Rutgers is definitely going to want to go toe-to-toe with Michigan, so I think every possession for Rutgers is going to count, which is why I'm sure they called a timeout here after they earned that first down. Definitely want to make the most of this, keep Michigan on their toes, and keep pushing to make sure they can keep getting numbers on the board.
With that, we'll give you a peek while we have this break at some of the other matchups going on around the country today. There is a great slate for college football.
It's a great weekend for college football.
Once this Michigan game gets finished, and even with this game on, there's a couple other great games around the country. Oklahoma hosting Cincinnati. They're down 3. And then, Cincinnati hosting Oklahoma. Clemson and Florida State knotted up 0-0. Then later on in the day, Utah, UCLA, ranked matchup, 3:30. Alabama hosts Ole Miss at 3:30. Colorado, Oregon, Coach Prime and the Buffaloes head up to Eugene and Autzen Stadium, trying to get their first ranked win of the season, or excuse me, their second ranked win of the season. That'll be a tough task with no Travis Hunter, who's been absolutely electric. Obviously, the Buffalo has been the talk of the nation so far early on this season. A slept-on matchup that I'm really excited for, Washington State, Oregon State. The Pac-2, some are calling this matchup. The only two teams left in the Pac-12. It's a ranked matchup. Oregon State has looked really good this year. That's going to be a fun one out in the Pac-12. And then back in the Big Ten, Penn State and Iowa tonight on CBS. Iowa heads to the whiteout in Penn State. That should be a good one, a real tough test for this Penn State team that's looked really solid to open the season. And obviously the top matchup, a top 10 matchup in South Bend, Indiana. The Buckeyes head over to visit the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
The Fighting Irish. I'm really excited for that game. You know, there's been a lot of talk around that. They have one of the star quarterbacks at Notre Dame, and I think that that's really going to be an interesting push for Ohio State.
Sam Hartman and company have looked great to start the season. Ohio State has looked good, but not quite what we're used to seeing from the Buckeyes early season. Ken McCord and the Buckeyes pick up a big win and silence those doubters against Notre Dame today. I don't know. I think this Notre Dame team's really good.
I'm excited. I think if anyone could do it, it could be them today.
We're back to the action. Both squads on the field. Wimsatt claps his hands. It's going to be a keeper for Wimsatt. Wimsatt making moves with his feet, and he'll be brought down just over the 50-yard line at the Michigan 49. Big pickup for Wimsatt on the ground. And this is something we said to look for this game. Rutgers.
Yeah. He's really proving it. You know, he's really proving that he is a quarterback, but he is also a runner. And he has been kind of dancing around some of these Michigan defenders and picking up some really important yards for the Rutgers team.
And the big key for Rutgers is, can Wimsatt make enough plays through the air? And that big one to Dremel to start definitely counts as a big play through the air. Rutgers driving now. Ball at the Michigan 49. 1st and 10. Wimsatt claps his hands. Handoff. Monungai. He's going to be dropped for a pickup of maybe one. We'll see where the ball's spotted.
Just throw him back.
Wrapped up. Mikey Sainristil was the first one there.
Ends up only just being 1 yard for Kyle.
Monungai picks up one. That'll bring up 2nd and 9. All knotted up. 7-7. Rutgers driving. 2:25 and counting on the game clock. Snap clock down to 12. Wimsatt drops back to pass. Looks right, throws right. He's got his man for a first down. That was Jaquay Jackson on the pickup.
Great look there for Gavin Wimsatt. Get some passing yards up on the board for him as opposed to just some running.
About a 12-yard gain for Rutgers there. Ball on the Michigan 37 now.
That was Jaquay Jackson, number 9. He's a senior wide receiver for Rutgers. He's actually new to the team this year. He's a second-year senior coming from a Division II team in California.
Been a big pickup for this squad that lost Aaron Cruikshank, their top receiver from last season.
He has 5 big receptions so far, adding 6 now with that last one this season, with a total of 99 yards.
Rayshawn Benny brings down Monungai after a pickup of 4.
Everyone's eyes are on Monungai on this defense, really trying to stop him in his tracks and make sure he doesn't get too far away.
Rutgers taking a lot of time off the clock on this drive here.
You know, definitely trying to get through this quarter, I think, without giving Michigan another chance to score.
Looking to salt it away. Wimsatt claps his hands. It's going to be a quarterback power to the right side. And he's going to be brought down after a pickup of about 4. Brings up 3rd and 3 now for Rutgers. Ball on the Michigan 30.
Rutgers has, not really been letting up a lot of touchdowns this season and has been pretty great at keeping the score low during the first half of a lot of their games so far. I think that's what they're probably trying to do here with running this clock, keep the score low and, try and wear this team down.
3rd and 3, Rutgers in field goal range. Jai Patel banged home a 51-yarder versus Temple. He's 4 for 5 on the season. Of course, they're not trying to settle for 3. Wimsatt claps his hands. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Manungai. Going to be a close spot. I think he's short. And that's the indication from the official as well. Pickup of about 2, going to bring up 4th and 1. Here's an interesting spot for Greg Schiano and Kirk Shiraka.
Yeah,
do you go for it here? In field goal range. They're going to call timeout and think it over.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went for it, honestly. I think they're trying to keep some momentum here, trying to get maybe some points on the board with 1 yard left to go.
So we get into another media timeout.
I think they ran the clock there, and that was the end of the first quarter.
The quarter will close through 1 quarter of play, 7-7. It's been a tight one here in Ann Arbor.
Really interesting, Rutgers came out really strong with that first possession, set the tone really quickly for a really exciting game where, Michigan is not going to cruise through like they have been the last 3 games. I think what they've been used to last game, it was maybe the first time they felt a little bit of heat. Not even really so. They did still have full control over that game, but there was definitely some holes in play there. But I think that's what happens when, really strong teams are playing teams that are not quite up to their caliber. I sometimes think it brings down the play. And so today they have to step up, and I think that if they want to pull away here, they're going to need to, put a little more heat on both their offensive and defensive lines. They're really being challenged, I think, defensively right now with Kelin and the legs on Gavin Wimsatt. I don't think they're used to a quarterback being able to run like him. And, he's really what is keeping Rutgers moving up the field, keep getting those first downs. So I think that's probably in this timeout they're going to try and figure out what they can do to shut down this offense really quick so they can get that possession back. They want to pull ahead before the second quarter, and they have been really strong so far this season in the second half, really bringing in a lot of their points at the end, especially last game. So I'm not really worried about this team being a second half team. A lot of these guys do have to get into the swing of things and get into momentum. I think definitely with some of the offensive players, they have to get into the flow. So I think Michigan is a strong second half team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they started to take over in the second half, but I don't think that they want to go into the half down. So I think definitely this quarter they're going to be looking to shut down really hard on the defense and get some really big passing yards on the offense.
Michigan with that number 2 next to their name. They're expected to come in and handle business here this weekend.
Exactly.
And Rutgers making things difficult.
Yeah, and making that number 2 look a little small right now.
And it's really interesting this year as you look at the big picture across the country. There's plenty of teams, I think, that have an argument for that number 1 spot. Obviously, Georgia, the 2-time reigning national champions, they haven't slipped up yet, so they are holding on to that 1 spot. But Michigan has an argument to be there just looking at this season. You could say Michigan, you could say Georgia, you could say Texas has the biggest win of the year. You could say Florida State has the biggest win of the year.
Yeah, I think that, Michigan has earned that number 2, but I think they have to continue to earn that number 2. I mean, they were ranked number 4 last year to get to move up, but, they want to prove that they earned that spot up at number 2, and, it's games like this where they have to show that they are dominant in that way.
Here comes Wimsatt and Rutgers. They're going to go for it on 4th and 1. Handoff up the middle. He's buried for a loss. The Michigan front 7 eats up Manungai. And there's going to be a flag on the play.
False start. Offense. 2 guards. 5-yard penalty. And it's 4th down.
And so the play is whistled dead. Michigan stopped Rutgers in their tracks. Instead, Rutgers now able to potentially kick a field goal. 4th and 6. Rutgers will take the offense off the field.
A break for Rutgers there to get a second chance and make maybe the right choice here and go for the field goal.
Really a huge break for Rutgers.
I mean, the fact that they're going to be able to get some points after getting shut down like that, pretty lucky call.
Michigan was going to get the ball back with good field position on a 4th down stop. Instead, Rutgers gets to trot Jai Patel on for what looks to be a 50-yard field goal attempt. Appleby to hold. Wind is blowing in.
1 yard shorter than his longest one last week.
4 for 5 on the season. 51's his career long. Snap, hold, all good. Kick is up, and it doesn't have the leg. He's going to miss short and to the left.
Short.
So Michigan still holds. Rutgers can't come away with points on a 4th and 1. And the Wolverines now take over at the 33.
Wolverines definitely feeling good after that possession, ready to get that offense back out there and probably hopefully dominate a little bit right now offensively. Jai Patel is only a sophomore for this team. He didn't even play last year. And he's really been, you know, unfortunate that is a really big kick, but he has been showing up in a lot of ways for the Rutgers team.
Michigan going to go back to the pistol. Edwards, the lone back behind McCarthy. Got Bunch to his right. Cornelius Johnson to his left. They bring Bredesen in motion. Handoff up the middle to Edwards. Edwards with space. Cut back at the 40, down to the 47. Donovan Edwards with a big pickup there. Pickup of 8 brings up 4th and 2, or excuse me, 2nd and 2.
Donovan Edwards is a big tailback for Michigan. Brings in a lot of yards gained for this team.
Michigan goes back to the pistol. Loveland this time in that fullback spot. They bring Barner, the tight end, in motion. 2 receivers on the field for the Wolverines. McCarthy drops back to pass. And he's got Edwards out of the backfield. Edwards just crosses midfield, going to be dragged out of bounds.
Donovan Edwards again.
Good pickup there from Edwards.
Another 8 yards. Donovan Edwards is on the watch list for the 2023 Doak Walker Award this year.
Top running back in the country. Mohamed Toure brought him down. Michigan got arguably the best backfield in the nation with their 2-headed monster. McCarthy claps his hands. Handoff to Edwards up the middle, and he'll pick up, excuse me, that's Corum, and he'll pick up a couple.
Donovan Edwards putting a lot of yards up on the board for Michigan this possession.
Michigan really rotating these receivers in and out.
Absolutely.
KG. Freddie Moore was in the play, in on the last play. He comes back out. He's a freshman that people at Schembechler Hall are really excited about.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see freshmen get some more plays. A lot of our star players are, you know, heading on their way out.
JJ dropping back to pass, looking downfield. He's got his tight end Barner for a pickup of about 4.
Good look there. Probably trying to get some more passes in the air as some of these runs have been shut down a little bit.
JJ wanted Tyler Morris downfield. Instead opts to dump it off to his tight end and picks up 5. 3rd and 3 now for Michigan.
A good quick decision there instead of just, you know, not getting anything at all.
McCarthy with those 3 interceptions against Bowling Green opts to play it safe and brings up 3rd and 3 for Michigan.
Definitely going to be playing smart and careful today, I think.
Jumbo package out for the Wolverines. It's a handoff up the middle to Corum. It's a McCarthy keeper. McCarthy fooled everybody.
Oh my gosh, I was fooled.
And takes it down near the 25. Going to step out at the 27-yard line, J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy looking at Gavin Wimsett running and said, hey, maybe I can do that too.
And this is one of the big reasons that NFL scouts are so high on this guy is McCarthy's legs. Not only does he have the arm talent, but he's a great athlete as well.
Very true.
McCarthy takes off and steps out at the 27. 1st and 10 now for Michigan.
Really smart play too. You know, I think he is trying to come on this field today after last week and just make as many smart decisions as he can, really trying to focus in on that.
Excellent job running the read option. Shotgun, Edwards to his right. 2 receivers to the right. Handoff to Edwards, and Edwards just trying to dive forward for a pickup of 1. He was stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Jaquan Loyal, the safety, came down to make the hit. Brings up 2nd and 9 now for Michigan.
You know, J.J. McCarthy's been a really big part of this Michigan team's identity the last couple years. He has 16 starts and has produced 68 touchdowns, 27 field goals, and 162 drives. Big numbers.
In the pistol for Michigan, McCarthy claps his hands. They bring Bredesen in motion. It's a handoff to Edwards. Edwards dancing behind the line of scrimmage, trying to make something happen, picks up a couple. Gains 3, 3rd and 6 now for Michigan. Michigan hasn't taken any shots at the end zone yet. They bring in Loveland for Bredesen.
Definitely trying to get in that red zone here on this next play.
Michigan with 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and then Edwards, the lone tailback. They bring Wilson across the formation in motion. 3 to the right, Barn to the lone to the left. Wolverines going to spread out Rutgers here. JJ drops back to pass, looks right, throws right. He's got a man. It's Loveland. He's going to be just short of the first down, though. That looks to be 4th and 2 now for Michigan. Jim Harbaugh gets to make a decision now. His first game back on the sidelines.
Big decision here.
They're going to trot on the field goal unit to the dismay of this crowd. Coach Harbaugh opts to take the points.
I think that's probably smart. Definitely want to try and pull away from Rutgers here as we look into the last 10 minutes of this quarter.
And we saw Rutgers come away empty-handed.
Yeah, that was tough to watch.
False started. Coach Harbaugh wants to take his points, so it's James Turner on for a field goal. 36-yarder. Ball at the 19. Snap, hole, all good as a whistle blows.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
A lot of false starts here today, you know, causing yards for both teams.
That time it's a delay of game. Michigan took a minute to decide if they wanted to kick the field goal or not and weren't able to move quickly enough. So that'll back up Turner to about a 41-yard field goal. Turner, 2-time All-ACC, back with Louisville. Kick is up, and it is good. No good.
No good.
And I think he missed it right.
Wow.
So
tough break there for Michigan. Really, really wanted to pull away with some points, but still here, 7-7.
Turner, as we get a replay. Turner looks like he just missed it to the right, and he was a Lou Groza finalist in 2020. Like I said, 2 times All-ACC at Louisville. The career field goal percentage leader there. Was so solid for the Cardinals, and
couldn't quite make it today.
Has been a little bit shaky as a Wolverine. Missed an extra point in his first game and a field goal.
You know, those are points you don't really want to miss, especially in a game close like this right now where, you know, arguably Michigan probably should be dominating. You don't want to be shaking up in places where you should be probably a little stronger than most teams.
So again, still tied 7 apiece here in Ann Arbor.
Quite surprised. I thought maybe at this point Michigan would have put some more points up on the board. Still a lot of game left, still a lot of football. I think we're all just still reeling in from that really strong opening from Rutgers, still settling into this game, honestly, figuring it out. I hope, you know, both teams are probably still trying to figure the other one out, the first challenge for both of them. And it'll be really interesting to see, you know, what kind of game is also brought to the second half of this game.
Michigan came into this one as 24-point favorites at home.
Michigan has won 18 straight games at home, dating back to 2021. It's the longest home winning streak under Coach Jim and the program's best streak since their 21-game streak in 1998.
I believe it's the longest in the Big Ten as well. Michigan went into Columbus, obviously, last fall and snapped the Buckeyes' home winning streak.
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Jim has been really consistent with this team, and, you know, he's also 8-0 for homecoming games, so it would be quite the upset if that number were to change today. Still don't think we're there yet, but, you know, definitely not smooth sailing for these Wolverines at the moment.
So Rutgers takes over at their own 19 as Clemson has broken the seal in that Florida State game. They're on top 3-0. Big matchup in the ACC that will likely have CFP implications. Umsat hands off to Manungai. Manungai looking for space, finds none. He's going to be driven back by a horde of Wolverines.
Big yard loss there for Rutgers as Michigan literally just pushed them all the way. I think they're starting to get a little fired up.
This defensive line is one of the best in the country, top to bottom, and they're without Mason Graham today.
It's definitely a big missing presence, but
the depth really makes the loss hurt not as much. Kenneth Grant and Cam Good can slide right in there along with Rashawn Benny.
Yeah, I think the depth of this team is what makes Michigan, you know, up there at that number 2 position.
Umsat claps his hands, drops back to pass. Looks right, throws right, has a man, and he's going to be driven out at the sticks. That's Jaquay Jackson, excuse me. Will Johnston on the coverage for Michigan. We haven't seen him a ton this season. He's had a nagging injury and has been playing all day today in the conference opener.
Huddle up as the crowd starts to get a little loud here at this 3rd and 1.
Michigan going with a 1-high safety look here. Wimsatt in the shotgun, claps his hands. Gonna pull it, excuse me, no, he will hand it off to Manungai, and Manungai's gonna be short. He stood up again. How about this work from the Michigan front here, KG?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they saw really quickly what a threat Kelin Manungai was, and they have been doing everything they can to shut him down, and they have been putting up stops left and right on him, which is, you know, exactly what they need to be doing, that they're doing what needs to be done. And hopefully they can keep this up and then pull some things out on their offensive and, you know, perhaps pull away here before we get into halftime.
Manungai stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Chris Jenkins made the first hit, just beat his blocker, and Ernest Hausman came in from his linebacker spot to clean it up. Flynn Appleby boots it away. And it's fielded by Tyler Morris. He holds onto it in traffic at the 21-yard line. Another good punt flipping the field for Rutgers.
Flipping the field. Another failed 3rd-point conversion for Rutgers. Both of these teams are not particularly high in their statistics with 3rd-point conversions. I think that's something perhaps Michigan is looking to work on throughout this season, is making those final clutch yards to keep the possession going. And
KG, we've seen throughout the season some variability at that punt return spot for the Wolverines. This is something to keep an eye on throughout the year. Jake Thaw in the spring game was returning punts, and throughout the start of the season was the first guy back there. A couple of times where he's let some go that have really trickled deep into Michigan territory and pinned Michigan back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, every yard really counts, and it's the little things like that that will help save them some trouble later on. And it is something to watch for. You know, you don't want to let that ball trickle back into the corner and you're all of a sudden 94 yards back and have a whole field to run. So I think it is something to look out for. You want to make sure you start off on a strong foot with that first possession offensively. And yeah, you don't have to run the entire field.
Tyler Morris was back that time to receive for Michigan. We saw Morris get a little bit of action at that punt return spot too. So that's definitely a spot to keep an eye on throughout this season, that battle for punt return, and if Michigan can find some consistency back there, because it's so easy for a game to flip with the muffed punt. Special teams mistakes, obviously something that Jay Harbaugh and his father Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, work hand in hand on, and Jim's brother John, and the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, is known for being a special teams guru, the best guy at the NFL level for that. So the Harbaugh family, they care about what goes on in that third element of the game, third phase, but Michigan looking to find some consistency. Hasn't reared the ugly side of its head yet, but
no.
Michigan, that's just something to keep an eye on throughout the season.
I mean, every aspect counts, and special teams are a really big part of this game, you know, especially with, you know, field goals too. We saw that today. Like, those 3 points lost for both teams were really important and could have been a, you know, changing tide in this game, and both teams missed out on that. And while, you know, Jai Patel, that was a pretty massive kick for him. He has been voted, Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week last week after his big 51-yard field goal. And, they're clutch moments, and those are important points. And both of those teams are definitely feeling the loss of missing those field goals from their special teams.
So now Michigan will take over at their own 20, 21.
Looking to make some big plays, probably some big passes from J.J. McCarthy, who has been playing really smart today. Not conservatively, but definitely taking his time, not trying to make any passes that don't really make sense. Probably feeling cautious after his 3 interceptions last week against Bowling Green.
7:25 to go in the half. McCarthy in the pistol. He's going to go under center. Corum, the lone tailback. It's a handoff to Corum. Corum's going to make a cut to the left and be brought down after a pickup of 2.
That Rutgers wall proving to be pretty strong again, bringing Corum down, only giving him 1 yard.
We talked about it. Rutgers has been very good at protecting the ground this year.
Absolutely. I mean, the numbers that they have been putting up defensively have been quite impressive. Again, we talked how they are a top 20 defensive team, leading in a lot of areas, and they have some really strong faces on their defensive line, big players, and they are a wall for Michigan right now, and I think they're shutting down some of our strongest rushers on a lot of runs.
And Michigan's going to call timeout on 2nd and 9. 6:42 to go here in the first half. Michigan only 6 completions on 8 attempts. Rutgers has outgained Michigan through the air. That is something that even if this game was close, I would not expect. If you, before the game, you told me that this was a tie game, but Rutgers out-throwing Michigan is definitely a surprise. Obviously, a lot of that coming on that big chunk play to Christian Dremel, but
absolutely. But I mean, there's been time to sort of make up for that, and so it is very interesting that Rutgers has pulled away in that statistic, not a statistic we thought that they would come ahead in. I think we were, expecting that maybe they'd pull ahead in rushing. They do have really strong rushers on their teams, but the quarterback numbers were not something I think we were expecting to see so close. Not that J.J. McCarthy has been playing poorly, but he definitely has not been excelling in his passing yards.
Michigan looking to figure it out here on this possession as we tick towards the end of the first half. Again, you're tuned into WCBN Sports live coverage of Michigan football. WCBN Sports, the official student voice of Michigan athletics. All student run, student broadcaster, student production. And we're so lucky to be able to be up here.
Absolutely. Kelin Flynn, our president, our valiant leader of the student radio.
I try my best. Had a great opportunity yesterday. Had a table down on the diag to have students come up and chat with some of our broadcasters.
Absolutely, a lot of fun. I was out there for a couple of hours yesterday on the diag. Got to talk some football with some alum, which was really great. Had great conversations about the basketball season coming up, NBA basketball and Michigan basketball. Michigan basketball also looking for a new identity this upcoming season, losing 2 players to the draft, losing Hunter Dickinson. So they're looking for some consistency, and so that'll be an interesting season as that starts up here soon.
A lot of fun. That's something I definitely think we're going to try to do again. So
yeah, so keep an eye out on the diag. Yeah. Get a chance to come out and talk sports on the radio. It's a lot of fun.
Keep an eye out for that on our socials at WCBN Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, or X, Instagram and TikTok.
It's Twitter to me.
We're ready to roll here at the Big House. 2nd and 9 now for Michigan from their own 22. McCarthy in the shotgun. It's a handoff to Corum. Corum going to be hit just past the line of scrimmage, picks up only a couple. And so that'll bring up 3rd and long, 3rd and 8 now for Michigan.
An important 3rd down conversion here. Michigan doesn't really is roughing in around like 51% with their 3rd down conversions. Not really ranked too high in the NCAA. Definitely part of their game they can look to improve. to keep their possessions going.
And KG, Rutgers 4th in the country in stop rate, only behind Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan.
That is something to really, think about here.
3 receivers to the right. McCarthy claps his hands, looking downfield. JJ's going to step up and throw. He's got his man. It's Roman Wilson inside the 40, breaks a tackle, and is thrown out of bounds at the 46. JJ McCarthy steps up in the pocket and delivers one on the numbers to Roman Wilson for a big pickup.
Roman Wilson able to get a few extra yards at the end before Rutgers defense slammed him to the ground.
Ball on the 46, 1st and 10 for Michigan.
As we slowly move up this field.
Clock inside of 6 minutes at 5:30 now. JJ in the pistol. Edwards behind him. 2 receivers to the left. They bring the tight end Loveland in line with the formation. JJ, play action. Looking downfield. He's going to step up. Plenty of room for McCarthy. He's taken off at the 40-35. Run out of bounds just shy of the 30. Big pickup with the legs for number 9.
Another run from the quarterback today, showing us that he is a passer and a rusher, very athletic, sets him apart, and makes him a really great quarterback for this team.
And Michigan was looking for a shot down the field. All of a sudden, the right side of the field just completely opened up. There were no white jerseys over there. McCarthy stepped up and just took off smartly.
Yeah, he saw that.
He's got 3 carries for 36 yards on the day. 22 on that one. Pistol again for Michigan. 2 receivers to the left. They bring Wilson in motion. It's play action again. JJ looking. Can't find Cornelius Johnson over the middle of the field. Great coverage there. That was Robert Longerbeam.
Unfortunate incomplete pass. There was a great look, but Rutgers defense was right on him and wasn't able to finish that one through, as we're at 2nd and 10 now. Rutgers with 22 tackles today, looking to keep those numbers up. They have a lot of big tacklers on their defensive line.
JJ claps his hands, looking to draw some movement from Rutgers. In the pistol. Now they'll go into the shotgun. Edwards to his left. JJ's got to get the snap off here, and he does. And Michigan called timeout. Play clock was running down. 4:33 to go in the half. Michigan calls timeout.
Another timeout for Michigan. Really trying to be smart here. I think it's not that they're sweating, but I definitely think that they want to get some points up before this half. They're not used to being tied going into the half. Looking to pull away here, show some dominance. And Rutgers, we've talked about it. Their defensive line is here. They're strong, and Michigan is going to probably take a second to figure out how to confuse them, find some openings like they did on that last touchdown. They were really able to find some way through with some really good communication and a lot of little trickery, honestly.
Yeah, the double reverse flea flicker. They couldn't take the top off, but he found Loveland wide open for a big pickup, and that obviously led to the Blake Corum 2-yard plunge for the score.
Something to say about having to use that move to get past this Rutgers defense, which is, proving to be everything we thought they might.
And we've seen Michigan throughout the years under Jim Harbaugh, they really keep it very vanilla to open the season in terms of play calling, and will not put a lot on film. And then obviously down the stretch, when they get towards the game in November and into the postseason, they'll open up the playbook a little bit more. But Michigan has typically been able to win games by just out-talenting teams and winning the trenches, not having to open up the playbook too much.
No.
We've seen it a little bit more this year, that Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh said that to open the season, that it would be more of a true 50-50 run-pass split, and that's been true. Obviously, last season, Michigan, a dominant running team, Harbaugh called that more of a 60-40 run-to-pass ratio.
Definitely seeing it split up more here this season. Trying to use JJ's arm a little bit to get some of those passing yards. What do you think they're talking about in this huddle right now?
You definitely want to be able to punch this in for 6. You're trying to find a play, find something to get in the end zone. You want to be at least up a touchdown going into half. You're going to be dissatisfied if you only come away with 3 here.
Absolutely. You know, Michigan's been really used to the last 3 games not really having to struggle to get into the red zone and finish up there strong. And this is definitely a challenge for them, a test, and I think it's really important that they pass this test right now. I think it'll say a lot about what they need to work on in the upcoming games. I mean, Rutgers is nowhere near the biggest competition they're hoping to face this season.
So here we go. Big drive for Michigan as they look to take the lead for the first time today.
For the first time today.
Knotted up 7 apiece. It was Corum for Michigan, Christian Dremel on a long reception for Rutgers. 2nd and 10, ball on the 32. 2 receivers to the left. McCarthy claps his hands. It's a handoff to Corum up the middle. And he'll be stacked up for a pickup of about 3.
That was their 14th rushing attempt today. And it was not the most successful with about just 3.
That's a great push from that interior Michigan offensive line. Trevor Keegan and Drake Nugent really got a good push, and Max Bredesen, the fullback, came around and laid a big-time block to free up Corum. Pick up a 4, 3rd and 6 now. Big 3rd down for Michigan. Rutgers, 4th best in the country at getting stops. JJ claps his hands. They bring Loveland in motion. Drops back to pass. JJ looking right, throws right, got Loveland. Loveland reaches for the sticks. He got it. Oh, they're going to mark him. Are they going to mark him short?
I think they might.
Oh, boy, that was not a good call.
4th and 1 again. Another big decision here to push or take that field goal. I don't think they want those 3 points, but they might.
It really looked like Loveland reached out for it there. Oh, he got that.
He got that.
He landed on the marker.
What a call.
His foot was not out of bounds. Loveland landed on the marker. And they're going to take another look at this.
Absolutely.
Rightfully so.
Definitely a good choice there.
As the runner was short of the line to gain. The play's under further review.
And I think Michigan threw that red challenge flag. I didn't see the challenge flag thrown, but they stopped to review it. And it's going to be an official review here.
I would be really surprised if that wasn't overturned. That looked like a pretty clear.
That looked clear as day.
Clear as day to me. This is not a night game. We are out here in the light. We can see, and I think that was pretty obviously right on the line there. A great move from Loveland, honestly, putting his arms out right at the end there.
Loveland reached out to the sticks as we get another look at this in the booth. I don't think he stepped out, and where he landed on the marker.
I wonder if they're trying to say his body was out, like both of his legs were out of bounds by the time he...
The one thing you could say is his hand touched the ground, but when his hand touched the ground, he was over the orange marker.
Really interested to see what they're looking at closely here.
I'd be pretty surprised if this wasn't overturned.
I would be too, and I think Michigan's really hoping it's overturned. This is a really critical call here as we enter the last 3 minutes of this half, and it is still 7-7.
Because that ball was marked a full yard short. And I don't think there's any way you can't at least move it up a yard. We'll get our call here.
To review, the ruling on the field stands.
Gasp.
Wow.
Gasps and boos from the big house as this is a really critical and confusing call here made on the field.
KG, I think they just flat out got that wrong.
I think they did too, and I think we can say that because I think it is just objectively true. Kelin is not looking too happy here in the press box right now with this decision.
They marked him over a full yard short. There is no way that ball is a full yard short. I cannot believe that.
And I think they're going to go for it.
Michigan going to go for it here. McCarthy in the shotgun. Corum to his right. Handoff up the gut, and Michigan just barrels forward. First down.
Absolutely. Some fire behind that barrel, and they push through for that first down. Really important.
Coach Harbaugh frustrated with that one, and we'll see if that comes in play later today.
think we'll definitely be hearing about that call this whole week.
Michigan lost their first challenge, so even if they win another challenge, they won't be eligible for another.
Definitely a good use of that challenge, though. I'm really surprised that that did not swing in Michigan's direction, but they were able to barrel through, and we're back here at a first down.
JJ, handoff up the middle to Corum. Corum stood up after a pickup of about 4. Michigan just mucking it up down the field with the running game.
Slowly making their way, really, really hoping to put up a touchdown here in these last 2 minutes of the half, and we are still 7-7. Really critical calls being made on the field by JJ. Wants to play smart, wants to gain, and, you know, not the time to make mistakes.
Ball on the 18, 2nd and 7 for the Wolverines as we now tick inside 2 minutes in the half. Clemson up 10-7 on Florida State. Handoff, it's play action. McCarthy looking, under pressure. JJ gonna flip it to the corner of the end zone, and Roman Wilson couldn't get his head around.
Maybe a little nervous with that toss there.
That was some interesting footwork there from JJ McCarthy. That's real arm talent to be able to just kind of step up and flip that off your one foot. That's those off-platform throws that NFL scouts drool over. And Wilson just couldn't get his head around, but the ball was really not a poorly thrown ball. There was a chance for him to make a play. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. JJ makes a check at the line. Looking over at the Michigan sideline. Play clock down to 6. 4, 3. JJ's got to get it off here. They do. He's looking downfield, looking for the corner of the end zone, and he's got his man. It's a touchdown.
Wow.
The freshman, Samaj Morgan, hauls it in.
That is the 4th Wolverine to bring in a touchdown this season as this freshman adds his name to the list of players who have pulled in big points for the Wolverines.
Morgan in the slot just ran right up the seam, fought through PI.
Defense number 16. Touchdown.
And Michigan takes the lead 13-7 pending the PAT. How about that from the freshman from West Bloomfield making a play?
That? What an exciting moment for Morgan, and what a beautiful look from JJ McCarthy, as he has been obviously proving to play some really high football IQ here today.
JJ just put it in a perfect spot for Morgan to make a play on, and he hauled it in through the contact. Kick is up and good.
We are good.
And Michigan now leads 14-7 here from the Big House.
Michigan getting it done in that possession there. You know, had a little bit of a setback with that interesting call and, you know, barreled through and made it into the end zone with a beautiful pass to the freshman. And we are back up here before we enter the second half with 1 minute and 41 seconds left to play as Rutgers looks to make a final push to maybe tie this game up, maybe get a field goal, you know, maybe try and match up some of this energy. This will be really interesting to see if Rutgers can pull something out here, but I think that Michigan is feeling good and interested to see what defense they bring out right now.
Michigan on top, 14-7. 1 minute 41 for Rutgers to move down the field. They have 2 timeouts to work with.
Again, that was Samaj Morgan, number 82, the freshman. It has been really heavily, you know, Blake Corum and Roman Wilson bringing in touchdowns, and so he adds his name to the list of Wolverines with touchdowns this season. Really exciting as this program is probably going to look to expand in the future. Michigan
goes 11 plays, 79 yards, eating up just under 6 minutes of game clock for 7 points. Doman boots it away, and that's going to be fielded. They're going to let it bounce. Rutgers with a special teams mistake here. Rochelle let it bounce at the 1. He thought that was going in for a touchback.
Again, that talk about special teams. They're important there at the end.
Catch signal. By rule, the ball is dead when recovered. First down, Rutgers.
So because he signaled for a fair catch, once Rutgers caught it, it's down at the spot. So Rutgers now has to start at their own 6-yard line. Big special teams mistake from Rashad Rochelle.
Big special teams mistake with only 1 minute and 40 on the clock. That is not where you want to be right now.
Rochelle thought it was going to land in the blue paint the blue turf of the end zone. Instead, it bounces just inside the 1. Wimsatt backed up in his own end zone here. Claps his hands off up the middle for Monungai. Monungai picks up a couple there. That's a big mistake, and Michigan unlikely to get the ball back. But Rutgers now not even really a chance to try to drive down the field. You need a big play to pop. It looks like they might just run the clock out.
I wouldn't be surprised. They have a lot of ground to make up, and the clock is ticking with only 1 minute and 15 seconds left before we enter the half. Be interesting to see what they do here. I don't see much happening for Rutgers offensive line unless they throw some kind of crazy pass, but I don't see it.
Wimsatt in the shotgun. Monungai to his left. 2 receivers, one to the right, one to the left. It's a handoff to Monungai again, and he's going to be dropped at the 11.
Monungai getting stopped over and over. We've seen it like every time the defensive line has come up right now. Monungai has been shut down.
Rayshawn Benny was the one that made the tackle. That'll bring up 3rd and 5 now. So Rutgers has to run a play here. 32 seconds on the game clock and counting, and 22 on the play clock. There's about a 5-6 second difference.
Michigan definitely wanting to just kind of not make any mistakes here, get to the half. Only 15 seconds left as the crowd cheers them on.
3rd and 5. Rutgers going to be content to just let this go to the half. We'll hand it off to Monungai up the middle, and he'll be dropped. And Michigan's going to call timeout with 3 seconds to play to make Rutgers punt it away. Give themselves a chance to make something happen. Try to block a kick. Maybe you get a good return.
A good return would be great.
No reason not to here if you're Jim Harbaugh.
Definitely want to set up this second half. I mean, second half is going to be really important. Still a lot of football here, and not a really massive lead for Michigan, and they definitely had to fight for that last touchdown at the end there. A lot of game to play. They do seem to be figuring out this Rutgers team as we go along here, stopping them pretty consistently these last few possessions for the Rutgers offensive line. But, you know, definitely still some work to be done for the Michigan offensive line. Rutgers has been, you know, living up to their top 20 defensive title, and, you know, 4th in stops. They have been shutting down our rushers, but you know, Michigan, I think, is starting to figure out this offensive line a little bit.
A reminder that you're listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor. WCBN Sports live coverage of Michigan football as the first half is 3 seconds away from conclusion. Student coverage of Michigan football. So Rutgers just going to take a knee here. They're set up almost in victory formation as Rutgers now calls a timeout.
A timeout? Interesting choice. What do you think that is for?
I'm not really sure. I mean, the game plan for Rutgers is you just need to run. Wimsatt just has to hold on to the ball for 3 seconds and not get tackled for a safety.
Interesting. Wonder what's being spoken about in that huddle.
Really,
making sure maybe everyone's on the same page. Perhaps there's some miscommunication
you
about
have
what
the timeout.
was.
Might as well use it.
Might as well use it. Maybe keep Michigan on their toes, keep them a little confused too.
And again, Michigan's out of timeouts.
Step back on the field for these
But
last 3
Wimsatt
seconds.
has to kill 3 seconds, or else Michigan's going to get a crack at the end zone. Claps his hands. He'll run around and go down. Clock's 000.
And there we have it.
So that'll do it for the first half of play. Michigan up 14-7 over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights here in Ann Arbor. KG, it was kind of a sloppy first half at times from Michigan.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, I was honestly expecting this for Michigan. This was, you know, 4th game of the season. First 3 games were non-conference, not really big competitors for them. You know, they were definitely cruising, not having to, you know, put a lot of pressure on their play, could really depend on their talent. But today we're, you know, learning about the strategic side of this team, how they, you know, think on their toes, how they navigate, and how they're going to, you know, figure out these offensive and defensive lines that are not easy for them to just pummel through or, you know, pass over. So I think that I'm not surprised, and I think that we're going to see some cleaner football in this second half from Michigan. I think we saw them slowly start to figure out this offensive line. I mean, I feel like we've just been saying the same name all day, Kyle, 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 and they seem to be on him pretty strongly at this point, not really getting any yards. This has been a pretty quiet game for Kyle after that. I think the second possession was when he got the most yard coverage. So I'm not really too worried about the Rutgers offense unless they get a couple of lucky breakaways here and there. But I think offensively Michigan is still figuring some things out. This is a tough defensive line, and it's only going to get tougher with some of those bigger opponents in the future.
So a first half summary, again, Michigan on top 14-7. Scoring was started off early today. It only took Rutgers a minute to break the seal. It was a 69-yard touchdown reception from Gavin Wimsatt to Christian Dremel. Michigan then followed that up by going 3 and out, got a stop on Rutgers on their next possession, and then it was a 7-play, 94-yard drive for the Wolverines that culminated in a 2-yard Blake Corum touchdown. A punt from Flynn Appleby pinned them real deep.
Real deep. Yeah, they made a beautiful run there in that 96-yard push, especially those last couple of pushes in the end zone. Some great communication and flicking of the ball at the end, double flick at the end, and they outsmarted that defensive line. And it's interesting that they're having to get really smart with their plays here. Like you said, they're pulling out some moves from their playbook that we have not seen yet this season, and it seems to be the best way to get around this really strong defensive line.
And Samaj Morgan just now capped it off the scoring for Michigan. 18-yard touchdown reception from J.J. McCarthy. Michigan went 11 plays, 79 yards in 5 minutes and 44 seconds of game clock.
It was a great way to run the clock, too. I think that was really, really smart there. J.J. did push it a few times, but I think it was smart, and it, forced Rutgers at the end to have really no choice. Like, there was really nothing for them to do, no way to come back. Also with that mistake from the special teams, putting them at the 6-yard line, it kind of shut down this half with still 2 minutes left, which in football can be a lot of time, especially if you have 2 timeouts to go. 2 minutes can be plenty of time for moves, but they were really smart at the end there, and then a mistake from the special teams shut this half down pretty quick.
In the first half, McCarthy 9 for 13 for 139 yards and a touchdown. Blake Corum led the way on the ground for Michigan, 10 carries for 36 yards, a 3.6 average. Edwards only three touches on the ground for 12 yards, but JJ provided 36 yards on the ground with his legs.
Yeah,
real
the
big
fact that
contributor.
JJ is up there leading some of our rushing yards right now, I think is really telling of what this defense is showing. Shutting down some of our biggest rushers who put up really big numbers the last few games. J.J. McCarthy has had to use his legs this game, which we know he has, which we know he can do. Definitely not something in question, but we haven't seen it yet this season, and I think that's just, how this season is going to go as we enter these conference games. We're going to see really what this Michigan team is and what they can bring to the field, because they have yet to be challenged until today. So it's exciting to see, and it's exciting to see JJ push, especially after last game. Everyone wants to talk about his interceptions, but he's been really clutch today for this team.
Loveland leads Michigan in receiving, 3 catches for 44 yards. He's also been targeted the most, 4. Like we said, Morgan with the lone touchdown reception. He has 2 catches for 26 yards today. For Rutgers, Wimsatt 5 for 6 for 99 yards and a score. Kyle Monungai 11 attempts for 27 yards. And it's Jackson and Dremel leading the way for Rutgers. Jackson 2 catches, 20 yards. Dremel the lone reception, but he has the most yards with 69, that long score.
Yeah, that was a great score there. I mean, these are pretty low rushing numbers for both of these teams. Rutgers is a leading rushing team in this conference and has been putting up really big numbers their first 3 games. So both of these teams are realizing now, I think, what it's like to be against some tougher defense and how that has to change their game, how they have to, depend a little less on just pure talent, pure speed, and just force, and kind of have a little more perception on the field of how to move around and how to find openings a little better. They're not going to come as easy anymore as we enter these conference games and as we enter this tougher competition as we head into this season. It's really starting to pick up, and it's really exciting to watch, and this has been a really fun game. I haven't really been this on my edge of the seat so far this season. So
KG,
it's fun.
your first time up in the press box here at Michigan Stadium.
Yep.
How do you like it? What's the experience like?
I am having so much fun up here. It has been a lot of fun. Definitely something new for me, and it's been a great experience. This view is great. Never seen the field like this. A lot of fun to talk about Michigan football with this much depth. You learn a lot about this team really quickly doing this, which is a lot of fun, and I think it's going to set me up to be even more invested this season. And I'm excited as we move forward, and it's been great. So I'm having a lot of fun up here. Good energy.
Michigan, they've been 2 for 2 in the red zone today. Rutgers hasn't made a trip to the red zone yet. Again, their lone score was a big chunk play. One of the other stories from this first half is the kicking. Both teams have missed a kick.
Yeah, kicking has been a little weak today. Both were, for Jai Patel, that was a pretty big kick for him. It was 50 yards, but it was interesting to see Michigan miss theirs. That was an important 3-point play that would have, set them apart. They did come in later with a touchdown, but, like we said, those special teams, they're important. They make important decisions and, can really change the flow of a game and the momentum for each team. But yeah, it's just really interesting, again, talking about the rushing yards for both of these teams, like really low numbers, especially, as we've seen them, both teams put up really big stats, especially just from individuals who have been shut down. Like Kyle, we said, he has not gotten a lot of foot on the ground, and I think that is a testament to our defensive line. Like we've been talking about, we have a really strong defensive line. We are missing Mason today, but we've stepped up in a lot of ways, I think, and it's been a lot of fun to see that, see some challenge for this defensive line, see where they can grow. But yeah, it's been definitely a passing game, and that's been the dependency, and I think we knew that was going to happen. But it is really, it's not fun, but it is interesting to see 2 strong rushing teams get shut down pretty hard.
Any other thoughts on this game, KG? Michigan outgained Rutgers in that first half, 223 to 144, and it shows in the scoreboard. They're up a touchdown.
Yeah.
Obviously, that special teams error, like we talked about at the very end of the half, Rutgers, a minute 41 on the clock with a chance to potentially drive down the field and tack on a field goal. A special teams blunder from Rashad Rochelle calling for the fair catch. Ball doesn't land in the end zone, and all of a sudden Rutgers is stuck at their own 6 instead of the 25.
Yeah, I think this game being kind of close, those decisions are going to be important. You don't want to make any more blunders. I think Rutgers, moving into this second half is going to try to play some really clean football, not make any mistakes like that are going to set them back and waste time. That was a waste of a minute and 40 seconds for Rutgers, a waste of a possession, all because of a small blunder like that. I think that they're going to, try and find some new ways around this Michigan defense. They definitely want to get another touchdown up, and they want to get it up fast. And I'm excited to see how the Michigan offense navigates this defense, see what kind of plays get pulled out.
While we're at half, we'll take a look around the country and see what's going on across the world of college football. Oklahoma, as KG will head out and we'll welcome.
I'll leave Kelin to do his rundown, but it's
been
a lot of
We'll
fun here.
welcome Peter onto the broadcast. Oklahoma up 10-3 at Cincinnati. Clemson hosting Florida State, the number 4 team in the country, and the Seminoles are down 10 as we approach the end of the first half there, 17-7. Florida State has the ball on the Clemson 1, though, so pay attention there. Looks like Florida State might punch that one in. Marshall up 17-10 over Virginia Tech, the team that Rutgers just handled the week before. Texas A&M up 6-0 on Auburn right now. Those are all the main games to be keeping an eye on. The heavy Big Ten slate takes over kind of later in the day today.
Yeah, you got the whiteout tonight. You got obviously Ohio State playing, obviously facing Notre Dame independent, but that's still a key matchup. But those mean a lot less for Michigan if they can't take care of their own business. It's all about Michigan's controlling their destiny throughout this season. You take care of your business and you'll be in the Big Ten championship game and you'll be in the college football playoff. And after a slow start, to be able to put that last drive together, get in front, chance to double up here, getting the ball to start the second half. Michigan's put themselves in a position to get to run away with it now after a slow start to the half, but only up 7. Still a lot of game action to go, and still a lot that Michigan needs to focus on within themselves. Can't be thinking about the other games across the country, even though we will as fans, obviously, because there are a lot of good, really exciting games. The Pac-12's got multiple ranked matchups that I will be tuning into as well.
So, Peter, we are fans. We're not players. We're not on the field. We're media. Let's look at some of these other games going on later today. Ohio State and Notre Dame. Let's talk about that one first. This is the first big test for the Buckeyes this year. Last year they played in Columbus, and it was a really tight game against the Ohio State played a Notre Dame team last year that was really had a lot of questions coming into that game. New head coach, questions at quarterback, and Notre Dame made it a game, but OSU was never really in doubt. Here, the script's completely different. The Buckeyes are going into South Bend against a red-hot Notre Dame team, a ground attack that has been fantastic. Sam Hartman has looked great this year, and a big physical Notre Dame defense, plus a fantastic offensive line. That Notre Dame offensive line is going to give Michigan a run for the Joe Moore Award this year. Joe Alt, the top offensive line prospect coming into this year's NFL draft at left tackle for the Fighting Irish. Ohio State has not been able to generate a lot of pressure this year. Are you nervous that the Buckeyes are going to go in there and drop one against Notre Dame? Because although it's a non-conference game and it doesn't really impact Big Ten standings, for Ohio State, they were able to make it into the college football playoff last year because they had an unblemished record outside of the Big Ten.
I think this could be a very difficult game for Ohio State. You said it. They haven't played great to start the year, and the competition so far, like their first real test, they have to go into South Bend. That's a hard place to play in. At night, going to be an electric atmosphere for a Notre Dame team that they always have expectations every year. Their fans and the team, the media,
similar
they're always
to Michigan.
high on,
No matter who's wearing the jersey, there's going to be expectations.
Exactly, but now that the way they've played these first 3 games, Notre Dame has, they've looked really good. You mentioned it, Sam Hartman has looked really good. The offensive line. I could see this being a tough test for Ohio State, and if I were to make my pick, my little helmet pick, I would say that Notre Dame's going to get the win at home at night, and I think that Ohio State does get the first loss of the season. I do think that Ohio State will obviously, I think they'll improve as the year goes on, and I think they'll be fine, but I don't think that they're going to be winning this game tonight. I just think it's a tall task the way they've been playing. They showed out offensively last week against Western Kentucky. They put up 63 points, but they haven't looked complete. They haven't looked like the Ohio State teams of the past that have really brought fits to the Big Ten and in the college football playoff.
Well, that's a big statement to make. Buckeyes are favored by 3 points on the road. Notre Dame a home dog. You can find that game on NBC at 7:30 tonight. The other late game in the Big Ten, another ranked matchup. Number 24 Iowa makes the trip to Happy Valley to play number 7 Penn State in their whiteout game this year. That's a tough environment for any squad. Penn State is currently favored by 14 in that game, Peter. Line opened up at 13 and has gone up to 14. Do you think the Hawkeyes can pull off a major upset, the kind of Michigan West almost, with McNamara and Eric all leading the Hawkeyes this year?
It's nothing against Iowa. I think Iowa's going to be a contender out in the Big Ten West, which is always wide open, it seems, every year. But I do think this is Penn State's game to win. Just the whiteout itself just gives you a touchdown advantage, it feels like. That crowd is electric. It is hard to play there, regardless, even if it's not a whiteout. But when you have the whiteout game, that team has expectations. I think you mentioned it off air before. I think Penn State, that road game for Michigan, might be the toughest game that Michigan has on their schedule, just going into Happy Valley later in the year. Obviously, that's looking ahead. But I do think Penn State will win this game. I think they'll cover as well. I do think it'll be a lower scoring game. Iowa, their offense, they picked up against Western Michigan last week, but they've been, as usual, more defensive oriented. I do think that Penn State will take care of business. I am excited to watch that one. I think that'll be a good game, though. I think they'll cover, but it won't be a blowout by any expectation. Maybe a late score to take things over.
Well, with that, I'll pass the headset off to Kendall Spencer. I know she definitely has some thoughts on that Iowa game that she's going to want to get out there Good luck on the second half, guys. Should be a good one here from the Big House. For myself, Kelin, Flynn, and my first half partner, KG Foley, thank you for tuning in. Again, you're listening to WCBN Sports live on YouTube or over the FM airwaves, WCBN FM Ann Arbor.
Yeah, it's a band, had their nice little halftime. It's always nice on homecoming. You get to see the alumni band coexist with the current Michigan band, just seeing that collection of old and new. We saw, as we welcome you, Kendall, onto the broadcast here, but we saw the past championships. The homecoming, it's got a nice feel to it. It's always exciting, and when it coincides with the first Big Ten game, you feel the energy here. They're definitely, the crowd's into it, and they know that it wasn't the greatest half in the world, but they're in a position here, getting the ball out of the half, to make noise, to separate themselves, get a score here to open this to open the second half, get a nice stop, and you put yourself in a position to really take over this game and play the way that I think fans expected from the get-go. Start out a little slow, but that's how I'm thinking. How are you thinking about from that point of view?
Well, this really isn't anything different than what we've seen the past couple of times that Michigan has played Rutgers. It feels like for a team with kind of as unfortunate as a reputation as Rutgers has, given it is quite literally the birthplace of college football, that Rutgers has that, reputation of kind of being the weakest link in the Big Ten. But the past couple years, Michigan has played them. It's always been a close game, especially through the first half, and this hasn't been an exception. Michigan does have a lead here, 14-7, as we head into the third quarter, but this isn't surprising. I think a lot of people would have told you that this is kind of trap game mentality, easy for them to kind of fall here. Well, I think other people would have told you this should have been a romping. I mean, Michigan was favored by 24 with Jim Harbaugh finally back for the Wolverines. I feel like there's two different schools of thought you can come into this with, but it's not entirely surprising. Rutgers has played Michigan tough just in the recent past, and in addition to that, Michigan didn't really make it easy for themselves in that first half, did it? No,
you're exactly right. A little bit of sloppy play on both sides. Each team missed a field goal. You had Michigan missed assignments. That first drive where they just gave up the 75-yard touchdown pass to Dremel, his lone reception of the day. That's the longest play of the game for the Scarlet Knights. But you're right, Michigan has faced tough times against Rutgers during the Greg Schiano era. 2020, Cade McNamara had to be brought in double overtime to escape a win at Piscataway. The last time Rutgers was here, a 20-14 win. Or 20-13 win, where Rutgers had the ball with a chance to tie the game at the end of the game. This is playing out similar to that game, as Michigan had a slim lead at halftime in that game, and the offense just died down in the second half, and Rutgers just hung around. We'll see if Michigan can blow it open to prevent Rutgers from hanging around, because I think that's exactly what you don't want. You do not want to let Rutgers hang around here. This is a game, this second half, you want to just get it out of the way, get it over with, get through it, and dominate this third quarter. This is a big quarter, I think. I think Jim Harbaugh will show in this drive that how important this drive is, and we'll see how methodical Michigan is to start the second half.
Absolutely. A lot of things that Michigan can improve on coming in to this second half as we get about ready to start the third quarter, just about 1:45. Both teams are on the field. Preparations are underway. Before we get things started, let's go ahead and, Peter, give me your impact player for the Wolverines in this second half.
I'm tempted to just say J.J. McCarthy, just because obviously he's the quarterback. He's made some good plays today, though. I really liked how his ability to, he's done this throughout the season. Besides last week where he threw the 3 picks, he was really good at, if he didn't find something downfield, he's going to use his legs, something he's really good at. We saw a couple of times where he scrambled for big gains. He's Michigan's leading rusher so far, actually tied with Corm. They both have 36 yards in the first half. But J.J. McCarthy has been efficient. I expect we'll see if Michigan tries some called run plays for him, or if they'll continue to utilize his scramble ability. But that's for me, that's the guy, he's their leader, and we've been talking about him for months, it seems. We've been talking about him forever. He's the savior for this program. And this time we got through the first check mark of the non-conference schedule is done. We're in Big Ten play. and this is where JJ really needs to show up. And I think it starts with a nice, good drive here as both teams get out on the field ready to kick things off here in quarter number 3.
And I think there's no one more than J.J. McCarthy that would tell you that he has to have a better game this week. I think enough has been said on that by Michigan media throughout the week.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that as we get the clapping going. We've got about 15 seconds here from Michigan Stadium. Michigan will receive the ball to start the second half. And we get things underway. Michigan up 14-7 in a close played game by Rutgers.
The ball fell off the tee. It is windy here.
Very windy.
Like
Very
we saw
windy
with
today.
the punts. We saw the punt roll all the way to the 6-yard line. 2 missed field goals. It's not just windy in one direction though. Like I'm looking at the flags around the stadium. They're all pointing different directions. They're gusty and swirly around here, which that could play a factor later in the game if we get down to a couple field goals.
I am holding down my spotting board for you all to make sure that doesn't go sailing away in the wind. And the kick is up. And it's dropped. It's going to be picked up at about the 1-yard line, taken out, tripped up by the 10 before finally running out of bounds. And wish I wasn't a superstitious person, Peter, but I do believe in omens, and that is not necessarily a good one.
Yeah, Kelin and KG mentioned in the first half Michigan's struggles with the return game, and there the muff punt, or kickoff, excuse me, making the returner run underneath, trying to make that's a difficult catch to make, and a little bobble, but they were able to pick it up and salvage the field position to the 10-yard line where the Wolverines will start.
That was Morgan who fielded the kick. As we'll get things underway. Michigan in shotgun here. 1 wide receiver on our side. That's who JJ's going to look for. That's Johnson, but it is nowhere close to him, even with a dive. Michigan, JJ's pass will sail just a bit short, maybe around the 10-yard line. Second and 10.
Yeah, they were looking for Cornelius Johnson, a little just out route, couple yard out route, and he had maybe a half a step, but the throw well off target brings up 2nd and 10.
Corum's the back for Pistol. Looking like they were going trips before they bring the fullback back in. 1 wide receiver on the outside. They're going to hand the ball off to Corum. He manages to make a couple guys miss. He's going to pick up about 8 on that, depending on the spot. 9. Brings us to 3rd and 1.
Corum's had a couple nice runs here in this early part of this game, making a couple men miss, as he usually does, and puts Michigan in a very manageable 3rd and short here on this opening drive. Big play, though.
Couple of quick substitutions. Corum in a shotgun again. Bringing Loveland inside. Hands off to Corum. Once again, finding that hole for an easy 1st down for Michigan.
Yeah, gaping hole created by the Michigan front. Corum easily able to get the 1st down. We just found the opening and took it. That's a good start for this Wolverines, getting that 1st down, moving out after the poor field position, getting to the 27.
One would assume Rutgers coming into this game was going to try and force Michigan to throw, but there have been some pretty wide open gaps that Corum has taken advantage of so far to start the second half. JJ gets the snap, hands it off again to Corum, and he gets bodied through about 5 defenders by his O-line. Pickup of 4 or 5, 6.
It looks like Rutgers is claiming there was a fumble and they picked it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of pointing fingers down there.
Looks like they're ruling him down at this point. We'll see if they are going to take a look at it. I did not see the fumble, but
there's some communication on the Rutgers sideline going on, but I'm not seeing any challenge flags.
we'll see if this will get a review initiated by the officials.
I
doesn't look like
don't think there will be. Nothing certain enough as they'll pitch it back to Corum. Corum's on the outside. He picks up about 3 before he's taken down by 3 Rutgers defenders.
And a Corum drive to start here. Another carry for him, this time to the outside on a pitch. And Michigan doing a good job. The first and second down bring up manageable third downs. A second consecutive 3rd and 1, where it's my guys against your guys, and I think Michigan really trusts that their front 7 can get a yard if they need to. We'll see if they just punch up the gut or if they try something different here.
Michigan 3rd and 1, tackle made by Powell on that previous play. They're going to hand it back to Corum. He's going to push his way to an indeterminate place. As we cannot see from up here where he landed.
37 is where they're marking it, which is where the first down is, but it's going to be really close.
It looks like it might be a 4th and inches. My favorite, 4th and 1. I wish they would have just given me the inches. That's my favorite, like.
I don't know if I've never seen it on the scoreboard.
That might be it. Maybe if you're watching this on TV, it says 4th and inches.
Technically, it's 4th and inches.
That's my favorite thing, is when it's like, it's so close, but you didn't get it.
But they're going to go for it from their own territory.
Is going to go for it. They've got 2 wide receivers out, but they're gonna fake the handoff. That is J.J. McCarthy. JJ's on the outside, running all the way to the sideline for the first down, and he had even me fooled up here in the press box with that handoff to Corum, but McCarthy kept it himself, had a good run, ran out of bounds around the 45.
We've seen a couple of times where JJ will hold on to it. This time on a jumbo package, everyone's expecting Corum to get the ball for a yard. Instead, McCarthy keeps it, scrambles outside, gets the first down out to the 45-yard line. And Michigan marching here early, taking up 4 minutes on this opening drive so far.
Donovan Edwards in the pistol. JJ's going to keep it for himself. He's going to have to scramble as there's 3 or 4 Rutgers defenders coming for him before he's finally tripped up.
There is a flag on the field.
Illegal formation, 5 men in the backfield, offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Tackle was made by Aaron Lewis. And Michigan is going to have to start again from 1st and 15.
Yeah, so they have too many men in the backfield. Need to get one on the line, an extra one on the line. But
there was some confusion there, I think, with Loveland. Not really sure where he was meant to be lining up, and may have been in the backfield instead of up with the linemen. But JJ's going to snap it in shotgun. Hand off to Edwards. Edwards on the near side, which is your left, before he's finally grabbed by the ankle and brought down. Gain of 1 yard.
That's a really good tackle by Muhammad Touri. As if Edwards trying to get out to the edge, and Touri did a really good job shedding the block at the tight end and then completing the tackle. Maybe gained a yard on the play. Up a yard is what it was given. It's going to be 2nd and long now.
I'll take a moment to clarify you. The outside for me is the right side of your football field. The inside is the left side. Michigan is driving from right to left as you would turn your radio dial or your YouTube screen, as you're not listening to this on the radio. Snap to JJ. He's looking downfield. He has a wide open Roman Wilson at the 35 before he's gobbled up.
And Wilson wide open down the middle of the field. A little crossing route. And JJ had a lot of time in the pocket, no threat. He was able to set his feet, look, find his guy, and throw a dart right across the middle for the first down.
That's exactly what Michigan needs, not just offensively, but morally. I mean, J.J. McCarthy needs to be making those plays, and that's got to feel good. As he'll hand it off to Corum. Corum up the middle, breaks a couple tackles before it takes 3 guys to bring him down, but not long enough before he gets a Michigan first down.
And Michigan running it down the throat of the Scarlet Knights here in this drive. And it's been Corum doing the heavy lifting for the most part. And he's been effective on this drive, and it gets a first down right there. Good job on the O-line, though. Corum just able to go straight through. They've been building up holes for him, especially here in this drive.
Michigan's got 3 receivers on the near side, left side of the football field, but they're going to hand it off to Corum anyway. up towards the right, maybe about 2 yards before he runs into a wall there.
And that time there was no hole for him to go, and he was stuffed. Still managed a yard out of the play.
Seems like Michigan's a little scared to pass.
I think this drive, the run's been working. So I'm a big stickler. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Keep running the ball if it's working, and then it can set up the play action, set up the pass as we move forward. Because we've seen Michigan throw the ball more this season than they have in years past.
Edwards in shotgun. Some motion across to the left side. JJ's going to step back and launch it. That's to number 89, AJ Barner, but it's no good. Broken up.
Yeah, that was good coverage on Barner, the backup tight end.
And it'll be 3rd and 8 from the Wolverines. 21.
Tyreen Powell with some really good coverage there. He was face guarding the receiver, which you can get PI called for, but he was not initiating too much contact. And
there haven't been a lot of flags downfield.
Not too many downfield. Game. Obviously, we have few false starts, things like that. But
JJ stepping back, but he's going to get the pocket collapsing on him, and that is a big play by Wesley Bailey, the junior from Ottawa, Ontario, as he stuffs McCarthy, bringing it to 4th and 15.
The Canadian Wesley Bailey going to force a long field, and this is no gimme. Turner 0 for 1 on field goal attempts today, and this is not a long one, or not a short one, especially with the wind. It's going to be 46-yard attempt.
The kick is up. And the kick is good. Bit of redemption there for James Turner to put Michigan up 17-7 here with 7 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. What did you like from Michigan on that drive, Peter?
I liked that they stuck to their identity, run the football. And they did that really well on this drive, and they milked 8 minutes on that drive. Obviously, you want to finish it with the touchdown, as we have an injured Rutgers player on the field after the kick, so hopefully he is okay. But I liked how Michigan really established the run on that drive and then looked to pass when needed. Obviously not finishing it with the sack, that hurts, but for Michigan to get points on that drive and to make this a 2-score lead and really milk a lot of clock, I would say that's a good first drive to start the second half. And now your offense did what your offense needs to do. Now it's up to the defense to get a stop and get the ball back to the offense to keep going.
Rutgers player is still being attended to out there on the field, so we can slow things down just a little bit. Nice day here in Ann Arbor.
It is. We got a little first day of fall. It doesn't feel like fall too much. It is windy, though. And we're feeling it up here in the booth. We got the first day of fall, a little late this year, the 23rd of September. Big Ten play is starting. Our last of 4 straight home games. Michigan hitting the road for the next 2, going to Lincoln and then to Minneapolis to face the Cornhuskers and Golden Gophers respectively, which will be 2 nice challenges for the Wolverines as the injured player for the Scarlet Knights gets onto his feet and will slowly walk off on his own power.
I believe that's Flip Dixon, free safety from Statesboro, Georgia. But like you mentioned, able to walk off, nothing noticeable from here.
Hopefully just a little shaken up and he'll be back on the field as the U.S. Coast Guard from the air station in Detroit who flew over after the anthem today are getting honored on the field. We've had 3 flyovers through 4 games, which is always exciting to see, both from the booth, seeing the plane just above you, and also in the crowd, adding to the pomp and circumstance of homecoming and Big Ten opening football live here in Ann Arbor.
Michigan getting ready to kick the ball off here. WCBN will be sending crews to both Nebraska and Minnesota. I will be in Minnesota, so look out for that in the coming weeks. So we do our best to bring you all Michigan football all the time. Doman running up. And the kick is off. It's going to go through the end zone. It'll be a touchback. As we get things set up, just want to remind you, this is WCBN 88.3 FM Ann Arbor. If you're listening live on FM, it's a pleasure to have you. If you're listening to us on YouTube, it's amazing to see you here as well. We appreciate everybody tuning in today from both near and far, as Michigan's got an extensive contingent of fans across the globe. 7 minutes remaining here in the third quarter after one long Michigan drive. We've got some time because we're going to do some, I don't know, chanting or something on the field. Let's get into some, I don't know, football philosophicals. What are your thoughts on the new college timing rules?
I don't like it. There's too many commercials. We just had an injured player. I don't think they went to commercial. They might have went to commercial. Then we have a kickoff, and then we go to commercial. I think it's the amount of time that the game takes is the same. It doesn't feel like the games have been shortened, but definitely the amount of play, the amount of physical football has definitely changed, and it feels like we're getting less football, we're getting more commercials. And obviously that the dynamics of college football are shifting, and we're seeing that with the realignment a lot. And this has been talked about extensively. I don't want to beat on a topic that has been discussed by many people, but I like that. I like the different timing rules in the college versus the NFL, having the little differences between each game. So like we're watching a little different thing on Saturday versus, well, I'm watching my Lions on Sunday. Big game for the Lions tomorrow. Very excited for that one against the Falcons.
I already watched my Niners, so I don't know who I'm going to be tuning into tomorrow.
Lions-Falcons is a worthy one.
As we slowly start to get the slow crawl of things back together, we still got 30 seconds on this timeout. College football might be putting more ads in there. We'll never give you an ad. You'll get to listen to all of the inane stuff that comes straight from our brains, and I know that's what you're missing from your favorite broadcasters. Rutgers will start on their own 25. I'm going to slow down so it sounds like I'm speaking English. Rutgers in shotgun. Taking their sweet time. Wimsat's going to keep it. Look far downfield, launch, and it's just past the outstretched hands of Rod Moore, returning to the game after he was questionable coming into it. It's about one split second away from a nice interception.
Yeah, Brady McGregor with really good pressure there, forcing the throw to be away. Always like giving a shout out to the Port Huron, Michigan native, my hometown. But he looks good today, getting a pressure there, forcing second and long here, second and 10.
Back in shotgun. And there's a flag. It looks like it's going to be on Rutgers, as there was a bit of celebration coming in from Barrett. Or maybe that was a complaint. I couldn't really tell. It looked happy, but maybe it wasn't happy, but
they're discussing this. We'll see here. Here's the call.
False start.
There we go.
Offense number 57. 5-yard penalty.
That'll
Second down.
push it back to 2nd and 15 on Rutgers' 20. Just a reminder, if you're just joining us, this is WCBN 88.3 FM Ann Arbor. I'm Kendall Spencer.
I'm Peter Nasr.
And it's 17-7, Michigan over Rutgers. Rutgers is pushing down the field from left to right on your computer screen as they'll set up and shotgun again. He sat waiting for the snap. He'll take it himself, throwing far out to the left side, and it looked like it was a bad throw, but there's a flag coming in
Yeah, I think they're going to call this on Michigan for some little early contact as the receiver was breaking out of his route towards the sideline. We'll see. The crowd was obviously not liking it. Here's the call.
Pass interference. Defense number 12. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
And I'm sure you could hear the boos radiating from our ref mic. But if you can't see that one for yourself, the complaints are because the throw was
Uncatchable.
There was no chance of making a play on that, regardless of whether or not there was PI.
Got there a little early, but the throw is definitely a wide throw regardless. But PI is PI in that case, and
maybe we jinxed him. We were
gives him a
talking
fresh
about
set
that.
of downs.
1st and 10, Wimsatt takes it, got shotgun, Monungai. Fake the handoff to Monungai. Wimsatt's going to launch one downfield, and it's not going to matter because that's going to go out of bounds on the left side around the Michigan 45.
Yeah, Wimsatt, a little off-balance throw off his back foot. It was not real close. 2 receivers that we could claim he was throwing it to kind of land in the middle of them out of bounds, but that's when one of the critiques we're getting Wimsatt this year. He's been very effective with his legs, as he has been today, but the arm accuracy, and we've seen on the past 2 throws that it's been a little more to be desired.
Shotgun again. Wimsatt's going to fake the handoff again to Monungai. There's a body coming from behind, but the catch is going to be made on the far left side, and there's some commotion going
they're gonna call
on.
it complete. As I say, he was a little inaccurate. He throws a beautiful ball on the out route, and that's a great catch.
Question is whether or not it's going to be incomplete.
By Jaquay Jackson.
To the point where it currently says in our little stat program that was an incomplete catch. But it looks like on the field, they're going to call it complete for 17 yards, or they're not.
Michigan calls timeout there.
Michigan calls timeout. I'm going to take a seat.
We'll see if this gives the officials a chance to take a look at this play. Let's take a look. He's got the 2 hands. What part of the body touches first? So he touches inbounds, and
that ball was on the ground.
now you can't use the ground to catch the ball, but the ball is allowed to touch the ground as long as you have control.
Question's going to be is whether or not they just.
I personally think it's a catch.
That
I think
he has control.
I think he got control. Then the ball hit the ground, which is okay because if you have control, and I believe he maintained it through the process. The process of the catch, they love to say those little referee buzzwords, but
it didn't come out of his hands until he was already out of bounds.
yeah, he definitely secured it and he touched in bounds. So I think that will be a completed catch and a first down for the Scarlet Knights at their own 45, and they've put together a little bit of a drive themselves, utilizing a couple penalties though to move forward. They got a race across the field, a 100-yard dash.
There is a member of the Michigan marching band, and he is smoking the rest of them.
Wow.
That is, in fact, not even close. In his full marching band regalia, giving us a 12.859.
That's a good time, isn't it, for 100 yards?
I believe so.
I don't remember what
in his little marching band shoes, they made a point of clarifying that.
Yeah, they're zooming in again on those shoes. Good on the cameraman to emphasize that.
Maybe that's a marching band thing. Like, they're well known that they're not good shoes. But for me, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're really good running shoes.
As we've still got 1 minute and 17 seconds here on the timeout. Like you mentioned, a lot more breaks than usual, and if there's one thing I don't know what to do, it is when there's a break. I've got to fill that air, and sometimes I say some dumb stuff.
Well, I'll ask you a football question relating to this game.
I'll give you a football answer.
We saw what do you think of Rutgers they've been trying to establish a pass here on this drive to open the second half? What do you think of that? Like, Gavin Wimsatt has, like I mentioned earlier and like has been mentioned on the broadcast, a little underwhelming throwing the ball, but where he excels and where this Rutgers team excels is in the ground game. But they're trying to establish that presence where they can throw the ball, because you cannot let, from a defensive standpoint, you cannot, if you are too one-dimensional offensively, it makes it much easier, obviously, to defend if you know it's going to be a run play every time. So what do you think of Rutgers trying to establish the pass here?
I am surprised that they're still going with it. That's how they had their long play, but I'm surprised they haven't seen any designed runs for Wimsatt. They'll line up in the shotgun with Samuel Brown, but he's going to take it himself. Pass on the near side, coming in to make a catch was Washington, but it's going to be incomplete.
Yeah,
Second and 10.
Bounds, yep. Okay, using Wimsatt's legs there on a little play action and have him bootleg over towards us. Nearly a great catch. Almost stuck the foot down in there, but it will be 2nd and 10 for the Scarlet Knights here.
Huddling up. 10 seconds on the play clock. Once again, back in shotgun. With Brown. Gonna fake the handoff to him. Once again, dropping back to pass. They've got a man on the near side, but it's broken up excellently. Or so I thought.
They're gonna say it's a catch.
But it's looking like they're gonna say it's a catch. Got a hand in there.
They're really airing
But they're
it
going
out
to say
here
it was a catch. Once again, currently says incomplete on our stat broadcast.
Catch.
But yeah,
foot,
he
got
kept his hands around that despite the hand in there by Makari Page.
Yeah, that was good coverage and a nice 20-yard gain. And Rutgers is marching, and they're on the Michigan 35 here.
Snap to an guy, dropping back to pass again on the near side. Going to hit the first down marker. But that is not a football works. That is an incomplete pass. 2nd and 10.
One thing that when Gavin Wimsatt has been throwing the ball effectively, it's on those out routes towards the sidelines. We've seen a lot of those patterns, those route patterns in this game, especially on this drive, and that's where Gavin Wimsatt's been comfortable throughout the season, has been on those out routes, and Rutgers has really utilized that to his strengths. They did another one there towards the sideline, really throwing towards the sidelines, and Wimsatt's been effective.
Snap directly to Wimsatt. Wimsatt on the far side. Washington went up for it, but was bodied by Will Johnson.
Late flag.
And there's a flag. I think that's going to be potentially for taunting. If I had to guess, that's too late to be a football play flag. I think that's going to be for
a little late shove. They took
or a
it
late
away.
hit.
We'll hear the call.
There is no foul for unsportsmanlike on the play. 3rd down.
Well, there you go. No.
That was going to
no
be.
Call. This crowd would not like that, to say the least, but the crowd's not been too happy with the officiating crew, headed by referee Mark Klasinski. And here comes a big 3rd and 10, and the crowd's getting into it as Rutgers is teetering at the edge of field goal range, but they definitely need to get some yardage here if they want to consider putting 3 up.
A lot of noise coming in. Motion's a bit late. Looks like they're confused, but one guy's going to drop. Wimsatt's going to drop back wide open in the middle of the field for Dremel. Pass is complete. It's going to be 4th and 2.
It's a great diving catch over the middle of the field as the throw is a little off, but Dremel was able to get the catch bench. 4th and short, and you expect them to go for it from this range, just too long for a field goal. We've been moving the ball well, and we haven't seen a run. We haven't seen many just standard runs on this drive, if at all. We'll see if they go for it here on 4th and 2.
Haven't seen nearly anything from Anungai or any designed for Wimsatt, whose legs are his best feature. But they'll line up in shotgun again. Take it on the Michigan 30. Wimsatt back to throw. Coming in, it's not going to be enough. Despite the completed pass, Oh, and the ball is out. The ball is out, and they're taking it down the field. There's no call, and it looks like they're going to run this all the way back. It's Mike Sanderstill, and if this stands, Michigan is up 23-7.
It looks like that was picked off by Sanderstill. Rutgers went for a little like wide receiver screen, and Sanderstill read it perfectly, jumped the route, and through bodies of Wolverines escaped and ran into the clear and gives the Wolverines a 23-17 lead.
And what a killer if you're Rutgers.
That's a huge play.
As Turner will line up for the extra point.
It was an interesting play call by Rutgers, as we see the replay on the. Wow, as we look on the screen here in the booth.
The extra point is good, and Michigan is up 24-7 over Rutgers after a long interception. 71 yards by Mike Sanderstill.
Like Sanderstill picked the ball off, and then he ran into Junior Colson, flipped Junior Colson over, and then he just, then Sanderstill just took it himself. He kind of bumped into Colson and flung him over to the side, and he stayed on his feet, and in all the chaos, and he broke free and took the green grass in front of him and made reservations for 6.
And that's exactly the type of explosive momentum changer that Michigan has been waiting for. They were up 17-7, but you know, it had been kind of slow going, and things could still be anybody's game as Sanderstill gets celebrated by this big house crowd. He's feeling it, they're feeling it. But that is the exact type of big play that can crack a game wide open.
Yeah, big plays for big-time players. Sanderstill read the bubbles, the little receiver screen perfectly. An interesting play call on 4th and 2 to go for the screen. I'm surprised that they did not run the ball at all in that drive. Really establishing the passing game, and it was pretty effective, but on that 4th and 2, they decided to try and maybe surprise the Wolverines with a little screen action. Colson was not surprised at all. Excuse me, Sanderstill was not surprised at all. And he was able to take it in for the touchdown. But that's big for Michigan. Coming in, you get 3 points on your opening drive, and Rutgers made you bend defensively, but you were able to make a big-time play for the pick 6. First defensive score on the season for the Wolverines, I believe. And extending the lead and really trying to put this game away early in this third quarter. We said it during halftime how big this third quarter is, and Michigan has done a good job so far. Only 2 drives and 2 drives total for both teams, and they've gotten points on both of them.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big second half for the Wolverines, exactly what they wanted coming out of that locker room. As Doman will line up to kick it off again, and Rutgers will have to start all over. They made their way almost all the way down the field, and after one fell swoop, they got to try it again.
Let's see how they respond. Get this crowd's into it now, and
kick is up and through the end zone, way through the end zone and into the bleacher seats.
looks like it went through the uprights too, I believe.
Kick is good. No points for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, this becomes a pivotal drive for the Scarlet Knights. You got to put points on the board, and if you want to stay in this game. So we'll see what Coach Serrano and the offense can go. We'll see if do they stick with a passing attack? Do they go back to what their bread and butter on the season is in the run game? Interesting to see the dynamic, the play calling here for the Scarlet Knights.
Back in shotgun, they'll hand it off this time to Brown. for about 3 yards.
Second and 7 from the
Getting back
28.
in a shotgun. They'll fake the handoff to Brown. Wimside going back to throw, and difficult play there. Seemed like it was for Bowman. Kind of fell forward trying to get it.
I like the play call, a little tight end screen it looks like, but the throw is off target. Because he had a little bit of space in front of him in the middle of the field, and now it's 3rd and long, 3rd and 7.
Quick discussion. From the huddle. 7 seconds left on the play clock. They're going to have to hurry.
I don't think they're going to get a play off the timeout.
And they don't
calls.
get a play off in time. There's going to be a timeout.
Timeout, Rutgers, their first of the half.
And they'll take a moment to collect themselves.
Yeah, this is a big play, so 30-second timeout was
Just be a
announced.
30-second, not a full media. We've had quite a few of those already here today. Rutgers looking like a lot of the same. 3rd and 7. They need to convert here. They are on their own 28. This is not the type of place where you can be going for it, especially with still 3:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, this is. I don't think you're playing for 2 downs here. I think you're playing to get it on this 3rd down here, and you need it here because this is a big drive.
Sit.
And there's a false start.
And false start penalty, and the snap flew by Wimsett anyway.
Offense number 63.
They'll make it a 3rd and 12. The ball on the Rutgers is 23, and you can hear the crowd rocking. The players are feeling it. Gonna put the big house impact up on the brand new Jumbotrons. That's 3 false starts for Rutgers so far.
Taj White playing the right tackle spot, usually left tackle, but went a little early there, and the crowd's only gonna get louder on this now 3rd and 11.
Wimsett back, motion, Dremel coming across. He's looking to throw, taking his time, gonna find Dremel open over the middle, but only for a pickup of 8.
Now 4th and short, and it looks like, nope, they're not gonna keep the offense, they're gonna punt.
They're gonna bring the punt team out here.
But we've seen it with the rugby style punts for Flynn Appleby. That first punt of the game, it looked like if he wanted to run, he could have maybe got the 1st down. So Michigan, you have to watch him. You cannot let him just keep running as he does his little scramble rugby style punts.
Be on the lookout for a bit of trickery here from the Rutgers punt team as they await the snap, taking their full time, but looks like Appleby's gonna just get it off. Not very much on it. It's gonna roll to Michigan's 35. Looked even shorter in the air, and then didn't take any Rutgers bounces. So Michigan will get decent field position starting on their own 34 with 2:41 remaining here in this 3rd quarter.
And this is a drive. This I might call. You can maybe consider calling this a put-away drive if Michigan can really be methodical. Get through this quarter into the 4th quarter. Take some time. If they have another 8-minute long drive that finishes with a touchdown instead of a field goal, really can put this game out of reach and get Michigan comfortably ahead. But we'll see how Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines attack this drive.
Got Corman shotgun, but JJ's gonna throw it for about 3 or so yards. That's going to be to Barner.
We've seen Barner a couple times here this half.
Using him and Colston Loveland kind of, you know, sparingly. That's not the word I'm looking for. What am I looking for? Equally? Yeah, okay.
We saw Colston
was
on
bad.
that little end around play, flea flicker, that big gain, and Barner a couple of these shorter pass attempts. That one getting 4 yards.
Hand the ball off to Corum. He'll run right up the middle for a couple. Second and 6.
It's going to be 3rd down now. I believe.
Yeah, so that's bringing it to 3rd and 5.
3rd
Only
and
1
5.
yard on that.
Important play for this Rutgers defense. If you can get off the field real quickly, try and maintain the field position battle, but you got to get the stop first.
JJ dropping back to pass. There's pressure coming. He's going to take it himself, run right up the middle, just barely short. But it looks like he might have reached his arms out there and picked up the first down. They were kind of holding him back in such a way that he hovered in midair, and he had the time to stick the ball out. And that's going to be a Michigan first down.
That's great awareness by McCarthy. He felt the pressure, stepped up in the pocket, saw the green grass in front of him, got a big hit, but knew where he was on the field and knew that he needs to stretch his arms out to get the first down, and he did so. Obviously a little risky with potentially fumbling the ball. Looks like he got it loose a little bit, but Deion Jennings hit him. But McCarthy with the awareness to stick the ball forward and get the first down.
Handoff to Edwards. He's going to attempt to take it on the right side, but nothing for him there. 2nd and 10.
We'll see if Michigan decides. It looks like Michigan will decide to take this to the quarter. And I'd say a successful 3rd quarter for the Wolverines as they lead 24-7. Really controlled the ball. Only the 3 drives, really, the 3 full drives, but Michigan having the ball for 8 minutes as the wave is starting to go around here in the big house to end the 3rd quarter. And we'll get Mr. Brightside playing soon.
And that brings us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Michigan 24, Rutgers 7. And, you know, Peter, I don't think you could draw it up really any better in terms of results. Maybe not in terms of some of the exact plays, but this is exactly what Harbaugh wanted coming out of that locker room.
I agree. That was a really good 3rd quarter. The only blemish would be just not finishing that 8-minute drive to start the quarter with a touchdown instead of getting the field goal. But getting points is important, and then being opportunistic, taking advantage. On a 4th and 2, you put yourself in a position. They read the play well on the little bubble screen, and Mike Sanders still making a really big play on the pick 6 to put us in the position we are now.
Absolutely. And as the sweet, sweet sound of Blues Brothers rings out from the new and improved Michigan Stadium, Jumbotron, is now you can see people doing it as they spend big bucks on those in the offseason. And we head into the 4th quarter. What does Michigan need to do to lock this game up, close it out, and, you know, put Rutgers to bed?
I think what they've been doing, I think, get the ground game, keep the ground game going, and really just punch the ball down Rutgers' throats and have a good drive here, put 7 on the board, and put yourself in a position to sweep the September games. Like, you know, next week is still September. You got 5 weekends, 5 Saturdays in September, but sweep the home.
Sweep the summer games.
Sweep the summer games, the first 4 games at home, at home here in the big house, which is exactly what you expected to do. What they did what they need to do in the non-conference schedule, and you finish this game against Rutgers, going in 4-0, heading into Memorial Stadium next week in Lincoln, which is never an easy place to get a win. That game's 3:30 kickoff. Will be on WCBN, streaming live on YouTube from Lincoln. That's going to be a big game. I'm excited to see how Michigan handles. It's always fun seeing the first road game of the season. Last year was at Iowa. Michigan was able to take care of business in Kinnick instead of in front of a fiery crowd. And this year, no exception. Nebraska, no matter how good they are, it's a tough place to play at. They have like a super long sellout streak stemming from, I believe, like at least the 80s, where they've sold out Memorial Stadium out there in Lincoln. So it's never a game that you can take easily. Last time Michigan played at Lincoln, they clawed and escaped with a win there at night back a couple years ago, 2021. But we can look ahead. Michigan's got to focus on finishing the job here. No funny business here to finish.
Just because we look to the future doesn't mean they can yet. They still got to close it out. 15 more minutes coming at you live here on WCBN Sports as Corum's in the shotgun, but JJ's going to drop back, take it himself. Pass right over the middle of the field for Roman Wilson, is running towards the outside. He's going to pick up all the way for a first down, and there's some shoving going on as he lands hard on the side of the Rutgers sideline.
Yeah, nice job just using Roman Wilson's speed on a little slant, a little crossing route across the middle of the field. He got the separation, was able to get the first down as Mr. Brightside was completed by the crowd and get the first down and move well into Rutgers territory.
Setting up shotgun once again. J.J. McCarthy dropping back to pass. Airing it out for Loveland, who makes an excellent leaping grab on the 15. What a big play from the sophomore from
What
Idaho.
a throw and what a catch. J.J. McCarthy threading the needle in coverage between two defenders, and Colson Loveland laid out and made a great play, putting the Wolverines inside the 20 to the 17-yard line.
Michigan opening up the pass here, proving that just as efficient for them. Shotgun, JJ receiving it. They're going to fake the handoff to Corum. McCarthy keeps it himself. He's going to evade the defenders. He's going to look like he tried to run out of bounds, but he ends up getting tripped up. Slides almost all the way to the track there. But that's going to be a Michigan first down.
Hey, good job. We've seen it a lot, JJ, in the designed runs or on the read options, and he's done a good job getting to the outside. Did it there, gained 8. And I think really effective use of McCarthy, both his arms and his legs. He looked really good today.
Not a Michigan first down. My bad. Looked like it, but went out just a bit too soon. He's going to drop back to pass again this time. Wide open middle of the field, running across and dragging his man with him is A.J. Barner. What a tight end play.
That's a gritty play.
Can you tell I'm getting excited?
He was draped in coverage, caught the ball, and dragged the defender.
There's nothing that'll get me more riled up than some good tight end play.
And they get the first down, first and goal now from the 5.
JJ hand off to Corum. He's going to run up the middle, and it looks like he's going to break through 3 defenders and end up in the Michigan end zone. 30-7 with a touchdown by Blake Corum.
That's your standard Blake Corum up the middle, gutsy run, getting through the defenders, powering his way in across the plane. And Michigan's opened this game up here in this second half.
And isn't this just the drive we've been waiting for? That was, I think, if you could look at anyone who ever had a complaint about this current Michigan offense, I mean, that was picture perfect from start to finish.
Yep, this drive and then the first drive to start this half, Michigan is really just a full display of passing and running, mixing things up.
The extra point from Turner is good, meaning we are 31-7 here. 12:38 left in the fourth quarter as Michigan is pulling away from the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And that that was a excellent drive, not just by Michigan, but by J.J. McCarthy specifically.
Yeah, his legs, using his legs to his advantage on the read option play, threading the needle on the pass to Colson Loveland, and just making the passes when needed to on little short plays to Barner and to Rowan Wilson. As we see the attendance for today is about to be announced. Always love seeing. Do you think we break 110? We have not broken 110,000 yet this year.
Maybe.
We've been very close last week.
Big game, and we don't come back home till fall break. So there might be. Oh.
And we're short
250.
By 240.
246.
Yep.
It's pretty full in here, especially looking out. If you look to the student section, it is dwindling now that this win seems pretty easily in hand. I said seems, not is. I'm not going to jinx anything for the Wolverines. But we still have 12 and a half minutes to go. A lot of stuff could happen. I don't know if it will happen, but it never hurts.
Let's look at some scores around the league here. Namely, Clemson up 24-17 at home against number 4 ranked Florida State. That's a big game for. Obviously, it's early in the college football playoff. Can talk. We don't get the first college football playoff ranking till late October, but this is a big game. Florida State can come back and win. They're down, like I said, they're down 24-17. Clemson has the ball in Seminole territory, but if Florida State can come back and win this game, their schedule, they do have Duke, Miami, and Florida as their lone ranked opponents remaining, all ranked near the bottom of the top 25. But Florida State could be in a good position to make their first college football playoff in a handful of years. So that's a big game to keep an eye on, as that game late in the third quarter. Oklahoma up 17-6 against Cincinnati. Those are the only 2 top 25 games that are going on at this moment. The game we are calling now, the lone Big Ten game at this point in time.
Big night for the Big Ten, but right now you're stuck with Michigan Rutgers. That's your only game. I say stuck, but it's been good as the kick is up, and it's going to be motioned for a fair catch by Rochelle. And Rutgers will look to kind of, revitalize their bleeding offense a little bit here. What if you are Rutgers right now? How are you approaching this drive?
I think, like, the first drive in this half where you were throwing the ball, you were having success, and you were, besides the pick six, you were moving it, and you moved it fairly deep into Michigan territory. I think just get back to what's been working for you if you're the Scarlet Knights.
They're going to hand it off, running on the near side. That's the left for nothing. Brown is going to get pretty stuffed, pick up 1 yard. 2nd and 9, and the clock keeps running. This was what Rutgers had the opportunity to be in Rutgers' favor, is keeping it like the limited amount of drives with the new time and clock rules. Now it might be their undoing.
I really like that point. I'll expand on it after this play, but I agree on that.
Motion on the defense. 4 seconds left on the play clock to get the snap off. As it drops back to throw, wide open in the middle of the field was Langen.
Langen find the soft spot in the zone coverage there, made the catch.
And they'll pick up the first down.
Yep, getting the first down. But you're right, the way Rutgers plays with the run-heavy offense and their emphasis on the run, that obviously takes up a lot of time, and now you're down 24, so 3 possession games with 3 scores and 2-point conversions. So you lose that luxury where you can dominate the ground the game. You got to throw the ball now, and Gavin Wimsatt's got to make some plays with his arm.
Been some, looks like a kind of breakdown of communication in the second half between Wimsatt and his center, but he's going to drop back to pass. Once again, wide open in the middle of the field. And that's another Rutgers first down as they're steadily creeping their way. Wimsatt has been forced to throw. That's Langen once again.
And Langen getting the separation, and first down, and Rutgers moving the ball down the field here. That time Keyshawn Harris was in on coverage, but he made the tackle.
A couple of good reads by Wimsatt so far, getting wide open. They're going to hand that off to Brown. He's going to pick up about 5 or 7. I'm always off by 1.
We've seen Samuel Brown get a handful of carries here in this second half.
He has been the main back here.
I'm not sure if Montague got hurt or anything.
Monungai has come in. He's been on some of the more run-heavy drives. Brown seems to be their passing back. As once again, he'll be in the shotgun. They're going to fake the handoff, and it's going to be Wimsatt taking it himself. And this is what I was mentioning earlier, is that Wimsatt is known for his legs, but here in the second half, we've barely seen any designed runs for him.
Yeah, that looks like the first designed run, a little power to the right, getting 4. Now it's third and 1 here.
9.5.
You got 2 downs to get a yard if you're Rutgers. That's your mentality.
As they're in the Michigan zone now. Set up in shotgun. Wimsatt coming up and forming his line of something. Hike the ball. They're going to hand that one off to someone whose name I do not have.
Aaron Young, it looks like, was on that carry, the third back, and he broke free. Had a nice gain there and picks up the first down.
That's going to be a Rutgers first down. And Peter, imagine how much bigger this drive would feel if there hadn't been that Sandersville pick.
That's the play of the game so far. And I assume at this point that's going to be the play that you look back on for both sides as a difference maker. As Young with another carry gains a couple.
Slowing things down. Now I start to wonder about potentially a Monungai injury as they're going run heavy here. We're not seeing him. Brown has been, especially on that previous Rutgers drive, he has been their passing back. Now we're not seeing Monungai at all. We're seeing Aaron Young and wondering if maybe there's something going on with the junior from Roseland, New Jersey. In shotgun once again, Young. Wimsatt gets the snap. They're going to fake the handoff, drops back to pass, and there's pressure coming from behind. He's got to scramble. They're going to take it out to the outside where he's going to go out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. What could have been a big stop for the Michigan defense is not because of the legs of Gavin Wimsatt.
Yeah, good on Wimsatt, feeling the pressure around him and being able to use his legs and gate outside, make this a third and manageable, 3rd and 6. Once again, two chances to get 6 yards. As Rutgers is at the point in time where they gotta get moving and they gotta score touchdowns. They need 3 scores plus 2-point conversions. And as the clock dwindles, nearing the 7-minute mark here, big play here on 3rd and 6.
Wimsatt will take it. He's going to be chased all the way back to 35. He has to throw it away, and it's nearly caught by Christian Dremel. That was nearly an incredible play to save, that potentially big loss. I mean, that is a good play by Wimsatt using his legs, but that could have been a great catch, but Dremel just couldn't hang on to it. It's going to bring up 4th and 6, and it looks like Rutgers is going to go for it.
Yeah, that was good pressure by Michigan, bring the blitz there. And now it's 4th and 6. This is it, potentially. Looks like timeout's going to be called by the Wolverines.
7 minutes on the clock. Unfortunately, the running has been eating up a lot of time for Rutgers. But yeah, like you said, this is it. This is this is their last chance to make something happen. They don't score here, this game is all but over. I mean, I think there's people who would tell you right now that this game is all but over, but there's always the chance, especially J.J. McCarthy's having a redemption game, especially in the second half, but there's always the chance the bad habits creep back up. You know, things could get ugly. There could be 2 touchdowns on the board quickly.
I'm going to say positive. We're not going to think about that. I'm going to say positive here.
But
you're right.
Could. Emphasis on could.
You're definitely right. We mentioned J.J. McCarthy, 14 for 20 on the afternoon for 211 yards and a touchdown. Notably, 7 carries for 51 yards as well, with a 22-yard carry in the first half. He's used his arms and legs effectively on the Saturday afternoon. Blake Corum, 18 carries for 81 yards and 2 scores. Donovan Edwards rushing the ball. It's been a theme throughout the year, and I think that's something that Michigan fans want to see get a little better. 6 carries for 13 yards. He's not been super efficient running the ball. In the passing game, he does have 2 catches for 41 yards. He did have a 33-yard catch.
I could dedicate like a whole DSR segment to what is going on with Donovan Edwards, who seemed poised to have a much bigger role this year than he's currently had. But I don't know if this is the best place for it. But I'm sure we'll get to it on DSR. So make sure you tune in. And I'll let you know for everyone those are on WCBN 88.3 FM in Arbor on Mondays through Thursdays, 6 to 6:30 p.m. And I'll let you know that if you are listening on FM right now, we will be done on FM at 3 p.m. On the chance that this game is not over at that time, you can keep listening on YouTube, WCBN Sports. We'll continue there with some of our post-game coverage as well. Close you out if this game doesn't wrap up in the next 18 minutes, which there is a chance.
Oh, I doubt it. There will be 3 more commercial breaks before that. But
okay, if there were no commercial breaks, if we weren't run by big commercial, there was a chance. As there's currently a dog catching frisbees.
Victor the Frisbee dog.
He is a legend that walks among us. And I appreciate his dedication to getting that frisbee. As, like I mentioned, just literally 1 second, over 7 minutes remaining here in the second half. It's been a Michigan half, if there's ever been a Michigan half. Absolutely dominant. It was 14-7 when we first started talking to you. And in that time, Michigan scored 17 and allowed nothing. But this is it. This is potentially the game-defining play for Rutgers. 4th and 6 ball on Michigan's 19. The defense is pumping up the crowd. But they've got to get the stop here first. As they're in the shotgun. Looks like that's Young again. Back to Wimsatt. Pressure coming in. Launching it over Dremel by about 5 yards. Too high, too far, too little, too late. Rutgers is going to turn it over on downs.
Yeah, went for Dremel in the corner, looking for him near the pylon on a little corner route, but it was well defended and throw is a little off target, and Michigan will take over with just under 7 to play, and a chance to really just milk the clock down and get out of here with a real solid victory.
Corum in the pistol. They're going to fake the handoff. McCarthy looking out to the near side. That's got Loveland, but only for about a couple. 3, to be exact.
Yeah, we've seen that pattern a bit with McCarthy fakes the handoff to Corum on the left, scrambles to the right. Getting Colson Loveland involved there. Just gains a couple yards. Keeps the clock running.
Taking their sweet time here.
Loveland's got 5 catches for 75 yards, most notably the 35-yarder on that flea flicker, double flea flicker action.
Rutgers has 2 timeouts. There's 2 guys back there. They're going to hand it off to Corum. finding a hole for running in to the Rutgers defense. Pickup of about 5. Third and 2.
The offensive line getting pushed there. Corum just following it, adding to it himself with his power that he brings as a runner. And giving Michigan a manageable 3rd down here from their own 27-yard line.
Shotgun. They're going to hand it off to Corum. He's going to run right up the middle, and it looks like he's just going to get enough for a Michigan 1st down.
Nope, just letting the clock tick. We're nearing 5 minutes to go here in this ball game, and we're getting to the point where you start thinking ahead to Nebraska. Like we said, that'll be 3:30 on WCBN's YouTube channel next Saturday from Lincoln.
JJ gonna take it directly, hand it off to Corum. He's gonna run out towards the left, make a couple guys miss. Pick up about 8.
Corum getting close
7.
to the century mark.
I don't think I've gotten a single one right. That's my goal. I've got 4.5 minutes to get a yard marker right.
Yep, so they'll give him 7 there. So Corum's at 97 yards on the day. Can he get to the century mark?
I think so.
He
I
did
think
last week.
I think they're going to keep feeding him here. Michigan is very content to let this clock run out. In fact, the spread, I don't know how they do it. It was 24.
Yeah, for those betting people out there, I don't know if it was 24, 24 and a half as Corum gets the carry up the gut. And
he's breaking a couple guys, and that looks like it's going to be Mullings,
the
senior from Massachusetts. Yep. And he was slippery on that one, ran right up. Guys were just falling off of him.
He nearly broke that free for a touchdown. He needs to escape Shaquan Loyal's tackle, but he was able to hold on to prevent a touchdown. I think Mullings knew that too. If he escaped that one, he was gone.
Oh yeah, he was about to be off to the races there.
The crowd chanting for Alex Orji. He is out though. He will not show up today.
They clearly don't read their injury reports as the ball is handed off back to Mullings. Gonna run right up the gut once again for about 6, 2nd and 4. As it looks like we may have seen the last of Blake Corum today. Understandable. Do not need him to be out here right now.
But overall for the Michigan running, they've been very efficient, averaging 5 yards a carry.
Hey, sorry, I've got to. I'm so sorry. St. Louisan, he's in. Frederick Moore, the freshman, number 3, Cardinal Ritter High School. Shout out to you. If you've never listened to me do a broadcast before, I have to shout out all the St. Louis guys. It's my job.
We'll see if they target him. I expect them to just keep this on the ground, and they do.
Hand it off back to Mullings. He's going to run right up the middle again. Not going to be enough. 3rd and 2, gain of 2 yards.
Yeah, like I was saying real quick, Michigan been effective on the run game, which is a positive thing to see, as even though Corum will be under 100 yards, 97 is still a very respectable number along with the 2 touchdowns, and overall mixing in McCarthy's rushes as well. A solid performance offensively. The passing game, you didn't need too much out of McCarthy, but 15 for 21 for 214. He didn't make any mistakes.
Hand it off again to Mullins, who's going to run right up the middle again, but he's getting pushed along by his O-line. Everybody gets in on the party, and that'll be a Michigan 1st down with 1 minute and 27 seconds left on the clock. As we're getting everybody in today.
Yep. some of the reserves getting in here late. And it looks like we will finish before the 3 o'clock, so I was wrong. Most likely, we'll see. Still got a minute left, but Michigan just needs one more.
Get me to Vegas. I'm really good at this, I guess. I'm going to start coming up with the spreads.
Michigan just one play here to run in, and they'll be able to call it evening.
Handed back off to Mullins. He's going to come out a bit more towards the right side.
Well, they'll need one more play, actually. But
Bit of a change from what we've been seeing. Instead of right up the center, bit to the right. As we're going to get one more play, like you just said, in here to end this second half, and feels good.
Yeah, this was a good win for Michigan. Slow start, though, giving up the long touchdown opening drive. Maybe startled some fans, getting some fans on edge, and going into halftime, close game. But Michigan turned it on in the third quarter, and they did what they need to do, and that was get a big Big Ten opening win, a big homecoming win for the Wolverines. That will be homecoming win number 94.
The final play of this game is another handoff to Mullins, directly up the middle. I can't tell how many yards it was. It was 4. It's not going to matter. The clock runs down, and that is your final Michigan 31, Rutgers 7. And what a domination of a game we saw from the Wolverines in that second half. I mean, they dominated that half in a way we have not seen them do against teams that, with a lesser caliber or standing than what Rutgers has. But, they came out of that locker room, inspired. And we saw the result out there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Michigan did exactly what they need to do in the second half. They put together a really good drive offensively, mixing in the ground game with the air attack, scoring, not being able to finish the drive, but taking a ton of time away, 8 minutes, and then getting the field goal, and then defensively getting the big stop that they needed, making the play that they needed. That was the difference. That pick 6 opened the game up and was the difference in the game. Obviously, there'll be things you want to clean up. Kicking, you want to less missed field goals, missed one earlier in the first half, and then you want to finish your drives. But for the most part, I think that second half particularly, Michigan looked really good, really sharp, and they should be content with finishing their home set here in September. A little check mark there on the list of goals for the season, moving towards that hopeful last goal of winning the national championship in January. And they've gotten 2 check marks: sweep the home stand and sweep the non-conference before they hit the road for a couple.
We've got you with
Big
us
10 games
for about 7 more minutes here, so we're gonna get a little in depth. We're gonna really break things down. We can get to each side of the ball independently, but there was one player who had the most to prove coming in today's game, and to no one's surprise, that player was J.J. McCarthy. He had approximately kind of an abysmal game against Bowling Green, to be completely honest, and I'm not trying to mince my words or anything. He needed to come out swinging in this one, and how do you think he did?
I want to say before I answer that question, JJ, he's the leader. He knows that he's the leader, and I think he'll be the first to tell you that last week was not his best performance, obviously, with the 3 interceptions. But for him to come out, put that behind him, and have a really complete game today, really efficient game. He made no mistakes. He did exactly what you need to do, very efficient, like I said. He did exactly what you wanted him to do. Jim Harbaugh was raving about him even after the 3 picks, saying that they obviously worked it out in film and everything. But props to J.J. McCarthy for putting all the noise, a lot of noise after that win. A Bowling Green team that has most interceptions in his career with 3 in one game. And for him to put that aside, come into this Big Ten opener, and lead the Wolverines to a big win, it's exactly what you look for from your leader, from your quarterback.
Someone, if you hadn't heard about it earlier on our broadcast, we had a table on the Diag yesterday where we let anybody come up and talk to us about sports, and one of our participants actually had a great point that turned out being relevant, of saying J.J. McCarthy has 1 bad game, and that's just how he plays, and they saying that's it, and he's going to prove it to everybody, to all the doubters on Saturday, and I think he did that.
I agree, and obviously the biggest thing is getting the win. Slow start to this game, but Michigan was able to pull away, and that's the kind of game I expected. A little close game in the first half, then Michigan taking care of business in the second half against a Rutgers team that they're no longer that team that you could just waltz over, beat them 73-0. That's not this program anymore, and that's good for the Big Ten and good for Rutgers they're no longer that punching bag as per se. They'll go to 1-1 after they won their opening Big Ten game at against Northwestern to start the season. But for Michigan, you gotta be pleased, and heading into Lincoln, you in a good spot, I'd say. 1-0 in the Big Ten play. Can't ask for much more, and got to improve and hit the road. It's always exciting to go play on the road. Losing the fans, that's always a good test, no matter who you're facing. When you go on the road in the Big Ten, they're never easy wins, and it's time for Michigan. The goals are ahead of them still. They took care of business here today, and
We talked a lot during that second half about Michigan's offense, how they were really able to open things up, both in the passing and the running game. But let's talk about the defense, because you were here, you heard it. That first drive of the game, they gave up a monster touchdown. I mean, it just seems like they kind of fell apart. And to have that sort of, knowledge in the back of your head and be like, that's the first drive of the game, and we did that, and then that was it. Those were the only points on the board. So they really, collected themselves and put out, a good game after that.
Yeah, they reeled it in after a mistake, leaving the guy open over the middle and letting him scamper in for 75-yard score. And credit to the defense, just staying with it, understanding the game plan. They knew that Rutgers was going to try and run the ball a lot, and they forced Rutgers to change their scheme, and they went and began air attacking it, and they had a little bit of success, but for the most part, Michigan handled that really well. And then they didn't even give a red zone trip after the touchdown drive. So no red zone trips, because that wasn't a red zone trip, because they scored from outside. But real fast before we lose our FM listeners, that Michigan was opportunistic, and they made the plays when they needed to. Got a couple big fourth down stops. The pick six was the difference in this game, in my opinion. That really shifted the tide, because as Rutgers was moving down the field, only down 10 at that point, and for Sanders still to read the screen effectively and to be able to get hit by Junior Colson. It's a crazy play, but able to just scamper away, the awareness to stay on his feet and take it all the way.
Absolutely. Well, we've got just about 1 minute left. I want to get your really quick MVP of the game today.
Ooh. I'm going to go JJ. I think just the way that he recovered after last week's game and had a really effective, efficient performance, both in the air but also with his legs. We have not seen that a ton this year. So for him to improve in that aspect, not improve per se, but to utilize that effectively, gaining 51 yards himself on 7 carries, I really enjoyed seeing that. So he's my MVP, my player of the game.
He had to have a big game this week, and I think he delivered. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Got about 30 seconds left. Peter, it's been an excellent second half with you. I've been Kendall. We had KG and Kelin on the first half. I'm sure they called an excellent game for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, whether it was on FM or on the YouTube channel. This has been WCBN 88.3 FM Ann Arbor, and I like to leave you, as we always do, with a good afternoon, and go blue. Thank you so much.